Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to VidaneTV. Kicking things off with a bang here on a Sunday afternoon. Hard to believe it's already our second big iRacing show of the year here for the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Hard to believe it's been 5 years in the making to get this 5th annual show on the road, and it's been an absolute blast here this past year in the sim racing world, the real racing world. Lots of stuff on the go here in 2025. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth, and I am not here alone, here with Jesse Thompson and Regan McCauley making the call here this afternoon. And Jesse, we were talking before we got on air. It's first big Jim Hallahan race for you, but you've done the sim racing thing a time or two.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm really excited to see what this event is all about. Obviously, Jim Hallahan was a force to be reckoned with in Atlanta, Canada. Unfortunately, we lost him a couple of years ago, but we are going to honor his memory today on the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. 333 laps later on today, but we've got about 34 cars set to try and qualify their way into I believe 24, 26 spots, somewhere around there. So we'll see who makes the show, and we'll see who has to watch from the hot dog line a little bit later on.
Pretty excited that there's a hot dog line. They got it scanned in here at Bristol. I did definitely see the notes. And Regan, you're new to the sim racing deal here. I believe this is your first show here with us at VidaneTV.
Yes, it is. I got plenty of iRacing and broadcasting experience from over with the Canadian Motorsports Network for the past couple of years. But yes, from the Tim's Corner Motorsports perspective, yes, also my first time on here. And for it to be the Jim Hallahan 333, the crown jewel event of this 2024-25 season, it's certainly a pleasure to be here. Got a healthy field of cars that are going to try and make their way in and run some good old short track racing here at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway.
I believe the unofficial official account was 35 plus here, looking for 24 spots. Going to take the top 4 from each of these heat races and the top 4 from a pair of Consi races coming up here in a moment's time. We'll do a quick reset on everything we need to, and then we'll let her eat for 333 laps. But it seems like you guys got it covered up here in the booth. I'm going to head back down to the truck, push on all the buttons, and making my job easy is Whiplash Cam's got to give AC4 a shout, hooking us up with the beautiful camera angles here around Bristol Motor Speedway. We've got about 28 different cameras that we're going to be able to choose from throughout the night. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and if we will push this button here and take a look at the starting grid for heat race number 1.
Yeah, heat race number 1 rolls off. Big Orange, Ryan Messer, rolls off position number 1. To his outside, a driver no stranger to victory lane in these Tim's Corner Motorsports events. That is Mike Alexander. Devin Laffin inside of row number 2. Riley Duncan, third or fourth generation driver on the outside of row number 2. Chris McKenna in position number 5. Jason Goss going to line up to his outside. Colin Boudreau behind the wheel of the 101. Dave Horton scheduled to start position number 8. And I believe we are scheduled to have Troy Burke, the pride of Charlottetown, in this field. Don't see his car on the racetrack at the moment, but I know he's excited to get this thing going. He'll have to come up from deep in the field to try and win this one. But Regan, heat race number 1 about to roll off. This is going to be exciting.
So we got 8 cars here. 4 of them will make it into the feature. The rest of them will have to go into the last chance qualifiers here later on. Got quite the roster here for this first heat.
Glad to have everybody tuned in here on VidaneTV. Make sure to check them out on Instagram, VidaneTV, if you haven't had the chance to do so. Before we get set to send them off, qualifier number 1 for the Jim Hallahan 333 this afternoon. Lights out on the pace car. Ryan Messer on the inside. Mike Alexander to his outside from Cole Harbor. And as they make their way through 3 and 4, green flag in the air, and we are racing. Messer out to the early lead. A couple of car lengths already over the 75 of Mike Alexander. Messer, a former winner of this event, has been in the top 2 or 3 all day long. Practice, qualifying, you name it. He wants a good spot for the show. Now he's got a challenge from behind. That's Mike Alexander in the 75. The Xander Designs, number 75. And here he comes to his back quarter panel, Regan.
And Messer had a great jump on that start there, but Alexander has started to catch up right on his bumper down the back straightaway. Top 3 now clears Riley Duncan. Clears his way into third. Battle for fourth between Devin Laffin and Chris McKenna. As Alexander goes to the inside of Messer.
Yeah, we got a battle for the lead now. Mike Alexander to the inside and up to position number 1. Second generation driver, third generation driver actually, behind the wheel of car number 75. Hasn't won this event yet, but today could be the day. Ryan Messer, Big Orange, as some of the fans will know him here in Atlantic, Canada. Messer on his back bumper, trying to close in on the R&R Kinsman's Xander sign, number 75.
As these laps wind down, Laffin looking to hang on over McKenna to get his automatic spot into the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333. Alexander pulling a bit of a gap there over Messer now down the front straightaway.
Yeah, a car length or so separating the 75 and the 1. Riley Duncan solidly in third. And Devin Laffin in the catbird seat right now in position number 4. Now, looks like Chris McKenna is going to have to get up on the wheel if he wants to qualify his way in through one of these heat races for the Jim Hallahan 333. I should see the sticks in the air this time. I believe we're going to have 2 to go off turn number 4.
Interesting to see here what McKenna does to try and gain some sort of an advantage on Laffin. This is the difference right here for a guaranteed spot in the Jim Hallahan 333 as the white flag waves for Mike Alexander.
Half a mile left to go for the Cole Harbor driver, Mike Alexander. Rolls the inside, Messer up to the top side as they head down the backstretch. Messer gets a good advantage. Down the backstretch, it's not going to be enough. Checkered flag gonna fly. Heat race number 1 gonna go to Mike Alexander. Ryan Messer will come home second. Riley Duncan for the 3rd spot, and Devin Laffin holds on for 4th. He will lock himself into the Jim Hallahan 333 later this afternoon. Chris McKenna, Colin Boudreau, Jason Goss, Dave Horton, and we did not have a start from Troy Burke, unfortunately. So he's going to have to come in through the last chance qualifier later on today. Well, Regan, that was pretty exciting, but we already got heat race number 2 on the racetrack.
So far, so good after one heat race, but that's just the very beginning. There's no doubt the racing product is going to get more and more intense as these races come along, especially when the last chance qualifiers come through. Some pretty good drivers here up towards the front for this heat, along with a familiar name in 4th.
Yeah, we got Tan Woolridge in position number 1. Brandon Campbell to his outside, your current points leader through the Tim's Corner Motorsports Special Event Series. Mike Rhino, he knows how to get to victory lane in 3rd. Tyler Hallahan, of course, this is a big day for the Hallahan family, on the outside of row number 2. Doug Murray on the inside of row 3, and Danny Beach to his outside. And rounding out the field, Corey Rayner in car number 12, and Brett Byron, a young Bandolero competitor, getting in the virtual super late model this afternoon. And looks like, once again, missing a driver, scheduled to have Philip Payne in the back of this field, but don't see the 794 out on the racetrack. Well, Regan, we already had one quick heat race, but this one's going to be just as exciting. A couple of hot shoes up front that know how to get it done.
Once again, another 8-car field, as you said, one driver not out here to take the start again, just like Troy Burke had back in heat number 1, but I certainly anticipate a good battle potentially here between some 2 top drivers here for TCM special events.
Tanton Woolridge has made his way up to the super late model ranks this season, still dabbling in legend cars and real life racing as well, but in these iRacing events, that 56 car, when it rolls on the track, it might as well be a race for second. We'll see how he does here this afternoon. Pace car pulls off into the infield on the hammer already. Green flag is in the air. Heat race number 2 is underway.
Massive jump there by the 56, way ahead of the field. And then Campbell followed in behind by Mike Rhino. Tyler Hallahan single file throughout the entirety of the field.
Woolridge put some distance between himself and Brandon Campbell, Mike Rhino, and Tyler Hallahan currently in your qualifying positions. We've still got quite a way to go in this heat race. But Hallahan now under pressure from Doug Murray in the 19 car. That is going to be a big battle for that final transfer spot. Can the hugger hold on to it? Hallahan in the 333 holds on to the middle groove. Looks like the 18 car of Doug Murray. Murray on his back bumper, a little bit in behind. They've got a good scrap Oh,
Ooh,
and
car on the
contact
wall.
between Danny Veach. Veach up into the wall. He's going to keep going. We are going to stay green. He's going to hit the wall again, but probably some suspension damage for the Mountain Dew number 29. We will stay green as we hit the halfway point.
There was contact between him and Buren there off of turn number 4 into the wall twice, once on the front stretch and then into turn 1, so he'll have another chance later on, the last chance qualifier, to make his way into the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333, but of course, not an ideal way to get there.
Brandon Campbell under a little bit of fire this afternoon from the 34 of Mike Rhino. Campbell obviously has been very, very good in these events and looking to try and win this thing for the first time. Second at the moment, Woolridge completely checked out front. It is the battle for the second spot. Tyler Hallahan close in behind, but not close enough to really make something happen with just 2 laps to go, 2 or 3 laps to go left in this event.
Woolridge looking to become the second driver from Prince Edward Island to win the Jim Hallahan 333. Jonathan Fitzpatrick won this race back in 2021. We've had a different state and province winner every single year, so somebody's looking to finally have somebody come out with multi-time wins.
Down the backstretch into 3 through 4, checkered flag gonna fly, and it's gonna be Tanton Woolridge to victory lane. Brandon Campbell holds on for second, Mike Rhino is third, and Tyler Hallahan has locked himself into the big show. Doug Murray, Brett Byron, Corey Rayner, Danny Veach, and Philip Payne going to have to come back through the last chance qualifier. Pretty clean couple of heat races so far. Obviously, Danny Veach is going to have some work to do to get that car back out on the racetrack, but the only real incident we've had so far here today. Well, heat race number 3 rolls out onto the speedway just like that. And pole position is going to belong to the 7. That is Sam King. The 26 to the outside. That is Braden Langell, a driver who knows how to get it done behind the wheel of a race car. Ben Ryan and Greg Snellgrove to his outside. Snellgrove has some real-life racing experience as well. Scott Negus and Tim Terry making up row number 3. And, of course, Nick McKay and Craig Weigel behind the wheel of car number 11. Shotgun on the grid.
Sam King has 1 start so far on this TCM special event season. Got a 2nd place finish in yesterday's street stock action at Summit Point. And then Braden Langell on the real life racetrack will be in Maritime Pro Stock Tour action for the 2025 season. So looking forward to seeing him back on a real life racetrack in a couple months.
Yeah, getting some heat in these tires. Langell got to make sure he doesn't get out ahead of that pace car. He's going to back off now, and we're going to give it one more time around, and trying to beat the pace car a little bit. These drivers are excited, Regan, to get going.
Seeing Tim Terry and Brianna Weigel in the same heat race, oh boy.
Well, it's her father, Craig, behind the wheel of that 11 car.
Oh, it's Craig.
Today.
Okay, you know what?
Yes.
Even better. Even better.
Even better, yes. Lights are out on the pace car. It'll make its way around this high banked half mile. Sam King on the inside. Braden Langell to the outside in the Rowdy Energy Toyota. Going to be hard to pick a winner out of this one. These are very, very stout race cars. Pace car very slowly, finally going to make its way in, and off of turn number 4, green flag in the air. Heat race number 3 is underway.
It's again another case of everybody getting single file on lap number 1. But again, 10 laps, there is time to make things happen, as we've seen some of the past couple of heat races. As there goes somebody trying to go for that podium finish right there. That would be Greg Snellgrove, as Scott Negus takes advantage on the high side, looking for that final transfer spot.
Negus has a good run on the outside of Snellgrove, as you mentioned, up into the qualifying position now. And Snellgrove's going to have to push a little bit if he wants to get there. And Tim Terry behind the wheel of car number 28. And obviously he would like to be in the show as well, but a very stout heat race to try and beat some of the best in iRacing. And Atlantic Canada. Sam King continuing to lead. Braden Langell, Ben Ryan, Scott Negus, your qualifying cars at the moment with just
Craig
4
Weigel on the
laps
wall,
to go.
front stretch.
Yeah, trouble for Weigel there. Maybe a little bit of contact with Tim Terry. Yeah, Tim might be fighting the car a little bit. We will head back and check on the 11 car. Weigel might have some trouble to get to the front of this field, but that's okay. That's what it's all about. We're just here to have a little bit of fun here this afternoon. And somebody having some fun right now is Greg Snellgrove. Continues to put pressure to the inside of the 55. Negus is holding on the outside, but can't seem to shake that 22 car.
Terry and Weigel will be ready in case these two get together. The top three have pulled away. Snellgrove a little bit loose there off of turn number 4. Only a couple laps to go now. Again, this is for that final qualifying position into the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333. The 22 keeps diving in underneath, but Negus has the better run off the corner exit on the high side.
A lap and a half left to go. It's all Sam King out front. Couple of car lengths between himself and the 26 of Braden Langell. White flag in the air, 1 to go, and this is the battle on the racetrack. Who is going to come out on top? Negus in the 55, Greg Snellgrove in the 22. Down the backstretch one final time. Snellgrove's going to drive it in deep. Out of 4, Sam King's going to pick up heat race number 3.
He got it.
And
He got it.
Snellgrove might have got it right at the line. That was close. That was just a hair or two over 32 thousandths of a second between Snellgrove and Negus, and one driver's going to make his way to the big show, and one driver's going to have to come through the last chance race. But what a finish we had in that one.
Fatal error there by Negus sends Snellgrove into the Jim Hallahan 333. What an incredible battle that was, and hopefully we get a couple more of those in this heat race and also the last chance qualifiers coming up.
Well, heat race number 4 rolls out onto the speedway, of course, setting the grid for today's 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333. I want to thank the folks from Tim's Corner Motorsports and VidaneTV coming together to help get this thing put together, and of course all the drivers that have come out in full force. Both 35 cars in the pit area rolled in today to try and make their way into the big show later on this afternoon. Well, heat race number 4 is going to see Matt Barkhouse. Probably the favorites to win in these events from time to time. He will be up alongside Ashton Tucker, another driver who knows how to get it done behind the wheel of a virtual or a real race car. Row number 2, we'll see Dylan Black and, of course, Brendan O'Neill to his outside. Todd Cousins in row number 3 and Riley Frost to his outside, former Atlantic Modified Tour competitor and enduro driver in recent years. How about Ethan Hicken in the virtual super late model, a Bandolero standout, 16 times a winner this season in Bandolero competition. And Nathan Langell to the outside. He's moved up to the legend car ranks the last couple of years and has picked up quite a few wins and knows how to race these Tim's Corner Motorsports special events, and usually manages to put on a show. He will have to come from deep in the field, though.
Yeah, great to see the young Ethan Hicken out here, certainly a future standout in the maritime racing industry, of course. Great to see Ashton Tucker up there on the front row on the high side in that beautiful number 2 White Lightning Auto Center King Competition Chevrolet. Of course, your reigning Easy Clean Super Late Model Series champion. Always great to see the real life livery on the sim racing car, of course, as Barkhouse takes the green with a great jump.
Yeah, good jump for the 15 car. And he is going to check out to the early lead. Dylan Black in the 08 puts the fight to the inside of the 2 of Ashton Tucker. Tucker going to have to roll that outside. He was a late entry for this afternoon's event with the 2 car. The Pride of Miramichi holds on to second for the moment.
O'Neill gave Cousins quite the bump there through turns 1 and 2, as we got pretty much a 4-car battle going on right now for that 3rd position. Double file, both of those rows right there. Oh, about sliding up there was O'Neill into the left. of Cousins, and taking advantage of that is going to be Riley Frost up on the high side. He takes over the spot in behind the transfer spot. Man, I thought they were about to go 3 wide there for a second, but an incredible battle in this final heat race.
Yeah, we might be there sooner rather than later. These drivers are not giving an inch, even for these spots outside of the transfer spot. What a show we've seen so far here today. Obviously, the Bristol Motor Speedway pretty packed for this event, and the drivers really putting the foot to the floor to get to the front of this field. Currently, it's Matt Barkhouse, Ashton Tucker, Dylan Black, and Riley Frost in position number 4, holding on to the final transfer spot. 4 to go at the line. Matt Barkhouse continues to lead. Moved up to the late model sportsman ranks the last couple of years and has really shown his stuff. Hoping to see more of him in 2025. Of course, Ashton Tucker. What can you say about Tucker? Probably one of Atlantic Canada's brightest stars in the virtual race car or the real race car, doesn't matter. Seems to have the speed no matter where he goes. And I think it's going to be 2 to go this time, Regan, for the 15 of Matt Barkhouse.
Indeed, all that close quarter action that we saw there in the first half of this race has now caused everybody to kind of single file out separate themselves from each other. Although, as I say that, now we're starting to get a battle here for the 3rd position between Dylan Black and Riley Frost. Hopefully they don't wreck each other, because they're both right now into the Jim Hallahan 333 as the white flag was taken there for Matthew Barkhouse. Jesse, take us home.
Coming through 3 and 4 for the final time, Matt Barkhouse is going to see the checkers. He'll grab heat race number 4. Ashton Tucker comes home 2nd. Dylan Black with that outside advantage, holding on to 3rd. And Riley Frost is going to end up 4th. We got a driver spinning backwards across the line. I think that was Nathan Langell in the 51 car in the sim. Wow. 4 quick heat races, just like that. We've taken 16 cars to the front of the top of the scoring pylon, as it were, to set some of the field, but no breaks here today. We have got to roll on with our last chance qualifier events. These are going to be a couple of 20-lap main events. I believe we're taking 4 from this race as well. And before things roll off, we'll get the thoughts of Paul Strickland. Paul, what do you think so far? We've seen a lot of great racing.
Yeah, we've seen some great racing so far in these heat races. TCM special events never disappoint, especially with these premier events. The Jim Hallahan, the 5th annual running of the Jim Hallahan 333 here at Bristol. Been some great racing, great action. You guys are killing it on the sticks here as well. Looking through some comments. We're live all over the place. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere, all over the place. We're taking over the internet. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're pulling for, and who you think is going to win this big event here. Brandon Campbell kind of running away with the points in that 9 car. But man, oh man, got a couple of last chance qualifiers. We'll give these drivers a quick break, get set up for the big 333 show here coming up this afternoon. Chris McKenna and Scott Negus going to start on the front row here in this first of 2 consolation races.
Yeah, and we got Colin Boudreau and Tim Terry making up row number 2. Jason Goss and Nick McKay behind the wheel of the 011. He'll line up position number 6. Dave Horton and Craig Weigel, I think, going to line up shotgun on the grid. I'm not sure if Troy Burke has made his way up through the field. And look at that, from the driver's seat, we've got our very own Tim Terry here. Tim, you're about to send things off. What do we got here?
Yeah, somebody's going to have to move me down after I say this, but the sim is saying we're taking 5. Apparently I screwed that up. We are taking 4 from each of these LCSs plus 2 provisionals at the end of it. So, yeah, taking 4 out of 8 or 9 cars we have here.
Are you going to be one of the 4?
Probably not.
All right. Well, honesty is the best medicine, but I know Tim's going to put on a show here, and everyone else is going to have a great run of it as well. 20 laps for the last chance qualifier. We've got a couple of them here today. As Tim just mentioned, 4 making the field from this event, 4 from the next event. And we will be ready for the Jim Hallahan 333 here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
I was going to say about Tim, he's right there in that 4th spot. Only 4 make it in through this. And yeah, it took me until now to notice that these last chance qualifiers are going to be 20 laps compared to 10 laps for all the heat races. So plenty more time for these drivers to put things together and trying to make their way into the Jim Hallahan 333 as the green flag waves.
Green flag is out, and a little bit of wall contact there for Terry in the 28. He is going to hold on to fourth for now, and I think we got one down to the inside. Yeah, Regan, I think you just caught that. We got trouble on the backstretch.
Dave Horton.
Dave Horton is going to get it spun around the Petro Can car. He's going to keep going. We're going to stay green. And he is about to go a lap down to Chris McKenna behind the wheel of 35 this afternoon.
Yeah, I believe Nick McKay may have had something happen with himself as well. Yeah, I believe he got turned by Weagle all the way towards the back in turns 1 and 2.
Well, Regan, the interesting thing about this racetrack, obviously it is a concrete surface. You could see kind of the patchwork where they put the concrete pads down in, but it's tough on these race cars, especially with these super late models that weren't really purpose-built to run at a place like Bristol.
No. I mean, the combination of these setups, this track, and how tires are going to be, especially when we get to the 333 lap feature in particular. These drivers are really going to be put to the test through attrition and just car handling overall. As look at this, Tim Terry, Jason Goss going at it for that final transfer spot, as Goss is going to take it over Terry, but Weagle's not too far behind.
Yeah, looking inside the Dirt Vision Ford right now, Tim Terry up on the wheel, putting the rev limiter to her, but I don't know if he's got the pace in the center of the corner. It looks like it might be a tick tight, maybe a bad set of tires on the 28 car, but now he finds himself in trouble with the 11 of Craig Weagle. Weagle's going to drive it down to the inside. A little bit of a hip check there, and Weagle up and away.
Had to make a little bit of contact happen there to get past the 28 of Tim Terry, and now Weagle is going to chase after Goss. And then Goss is Colin Boudreau ahead of him, so if he can take over that position, that'll make things easier for him if Weagle starts to catch up.
Yeah, Colin Boudreau in the Saltwater Lifestyle, 101. Holds on to third for now. Jason Goss trying to better his starting position later on today. And up front, Chris McKenna has not... we got trouble maybe further back. How about this? Craig Weagle is on the move.
Yeah, I was just saying that I think I might have had the commentator's jinx happen there, as now Boudreau starting to fall back after getting to the wall in the front stretch the previous lap from where we are now, and Weagle takes the advantage.
Weagle up into a qualifying spot now. Can the old man do it? Can he get to the front of this field and get a good starting spot? For the Jim Hallahan 333, we will see what transpires in the back half of this race. We've only got 7 or 8 laps left to go, but right now probably good for Weagle to settle in a little bit, bring this thing home, and he will find himself in the 333 in just a little bit.
Nick McKay went a lap down, joining Dave Horton after some of the stuff that went on earlier. We might have a potential battle brewing here for the lead approaching the closing laps. It's Chris McKenna versus Scott Negus for first and second place.
Yeah, they are really duking it out. In the final few laps of this last chance qualifier, obviously we've got another 20-lap qualifier set to roll off in a few moments' time. How about these camera angles? Paul Strickland on the controls for VidaneTV, giving us the action, really showing the speed of these race cars. And with just a handful of laps left to go, it is on. And that 55 car, after everything that happened, earlier in his heat race, he is going to want to win this qualifier.
You can see the lanes that these guys are really sticking to. McKenna always on the inside, Negus up on the high side. You can tell the 55 has been really gaining some advantages there, especially off of corner exit. He's right there on the back bumper, coming to 2 laps to go.
Popsicle 6 in the air this time. 2 to go at the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. Last chance qualifier number 1, set to close out in a few moments' time. Parkside Pub, Atlantic Tilt Load number 55 to the inside, and the 35 is Chris McKenna is going to shut the door on him. White flag in the air. Down the backstretch one final time. They will make their way off of 2 into 3. Is McKenna going to be able to hold on? And I think The 55 is going to have to back off a little bit. Checkered flag in the air. Chris McKenna going to win the last chance qualifier. Scott Negus comes home second. Jason Goss, and a drive of the afternoon from Craig Weigel to lock himself into the big show in just a few moments' time.
And Negus tried with all his might from the high side to the low side to find a way past McKenna, but just couldn't get the job done. An outstanding defensive effort there by McKenna. And great to see Pet International Raceway's very own flag bang, Craig Weigel, making his way into the Jim Hallahan 333.
Yeah, I'm sure Craig's going to be pretty excited about that one. We'll have to find out a little bit later on today. Could be a dark horse to see if he gets up to the front of the field. But, well, Regan, we've got another last chance qualifier ready to go. We got a couple more spots in this grid to set the field, and last chance qualifier number 2 rolls out onto the speedway. Pole position going to belong to Doug Murray and Todd Cousins on his outside. Then it is Corey Rayner in position number 3, Brendan O'Neill to the outside, Brett Byron and Ethan Hicken make up row number 3. Danny Veach and Nathan Langell had not so great runs in their heat races. This could be the opportunity for them to make their way up into the Jim Hallahan 333. And of course, Philip Payne once again scheduled to be in the field. I think that car might be on the trailer.
This is the last opportunity for these guys to make their way into the big 33-lap race in just a little bit. Quite the solid field. Saw some great action. That last chance qualifier going to be another 20-lapper here. I remember there was one of those heat or last chance qualifier races last year where things were relatively calm for the first couple of races, and then there was a massive wreck in one of them that collected like half the field or something like that. We still have yet to have had a situation like that just yet, but who knows if maybe this is the race that finally has something like that happen. Again, the final chance to get into the Jim Hallahan 333.
Lights out on the pace car, pulls down into the infield through 3 and 4, and we will bring them on. Green flag in the air, and we are racing once again. Doug Murray holds on to position number 1. Todd Cousins
spinning in the back.
Yeah, Regan, we got some trouble in the backstretch now. That's Corey Rayner in that car number 12. Finds himself a little bit out of sorts. He's going to keep going, but he's going to have a long way to get through a long way to go to get through this last chance qualifier to try and make his way through the field. How about Ethan Hicken and Nathan Langell in the 51 and his outside?
Young Bandolero town up against the Maritime League of Legends and the Scotia Speedway Legends competitor Nathan Langell versus Ethan Hicken. Brett Beeren just in behind. A lot more close quarter action here compared to that last chance qualifier as Chris McKenna and Scott Negus pulled away. This time around, the gap's a little closer.
Yeah, Byron there in the 22 just catching the wall a little bit on the backstretch that time. He'll find his way underneath of Ethan Hicken. Hicken's going to give him some room, but Byron's not going to give as much room. They'll run deep. They'll run side by side. A couple of Bandolero competitors now with the virtual super late models here on the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. And that's going to be another position gone for Ethan Hicken, unfortunately. He's going to have to count on maybe some mayhem ahead of him to close things back up, but still a long way to go. 14 laps left to go in this last chance qualifier.
Beeren gave Hicken the love tap there, but 2 or so laps earlier there. Danny Veach looking to the inside of the 5. Top 4 pretty solid here as Beeren's going to be chasing after Nathan Langell for that final transfer spot.
Oh, trouble in the backstretch.
Oh,
and
boy.
Hicken and Veach are going to get together. Hicken's going to find his way back forward. We stay green, but the Mobil 1 Ford is probably not happy with how his race has gone. Up front, though, it's Doug Murray in the 18. Todd Cousins in the 2, continuing, wow, as they get around Ethan Hicken. They are trying to fight their way tooth and nail to the finish of this one. It is a 5-car battle. Brett Byron has decided he wants to try and lock his way into the big show today.
Very close call there between Ethan Hicken and the leaders as they caught up pretty quickly. As I look quickly back on that replay there, that incident between those two drivers, looks like Hicken came up there, car behind looking up to the high side. They got together into turn 3. Unfortunate there for Ethan Hicken, who it looked like early on he did have an opportunity to lock himself into the Jim Hallahan 333, but looks as though that's not going to happen as Doug Murray continues to dominate this one.
Hillies and Rowdy Energy on that Toyota Camry. Looking good up front. The 18 car. Again, might be one of the dark horse cars to win this thing later on today. Right now, Murray just clicking off laps, trying to keep that 2 car in his rearview mirror the best he can, but Cousins has put the pressure on the last couple laps and really closed in. It's to a car length now. I think this thing's going to be a battle all the way to the checkers. Five laps left to go. In last chance qualifier number 2. Ready to set the field for the Jim Hallahan 333 later on today. Murray in the 18, Todd Cousins in the 2. This has been the battle all race long. Brendan O'Neill, haven't talked a lot about him, but 58 car's been looking pretty good in this race. And Brett Byron up to the 3rd spot now. Is Nathan Langell going to miss his opportunity to get into the 333? That would not be like the Langell family to miss the big show.
And he's going to have to hope for a miracle that any of these top 4 guys make a critical mistake within these final couple of laps as they're coming to 2 to go for the 18 and the 2. Cousins a little bit close there, but is it going to be enough time to make something happen, try to pull off a last chance qualifier win and bring some momentum into the 333 lap race?
White flag in the air, 1 to go for the Rowdy Energy Toyota, but the Tulco Electric Roma Brothers Racing number 2 is there, trying to get there as quick as he can down the backstretch one final time. It's been all Doug Murray from the drop of the green flag, and it's going to be there at the checkers, and Doug Murray grabs last chance qualifier number 2. Todd Cousins, Brendan O'Neill, and Brett Byron going to become the probably the last car to make his way into the big show in just a few moments' time. Well, Regan, we've got through the heat races. We've got through the last chance qualifiers. I would say that the field is pretty well set.
Yeah, certainly those races set the stage and the tone for what's to come here in the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333 compared to all these fields of 8, 9 cars, whatever it was throughout these races. Now we're going to have about over 25 or so of these guys duking it out for 333 laps. And again, as you were talking earlier about the super late model here on iRacing, not really meant for a track like this here at Bristol Motor Speedway. The whole combination of everything, I think, is no doubt going to put this together as hopefully the best Jim Hallahan 333 that we've seen since it first began in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're going to maybe take a little bit of a break, catch our breath. Here on VidaneTV, the Jim Hallahan 333 is next. Grab your snacks, grab your drinks, grab your favorite slippers, whatever you got, and join us for today's Jim Hallahan 333.
Maritime Pro Stock is on Eastlink Community TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pros. With 12 to go, contact!
Can he save it? They both
Donald
saved it!
Chisholm to the lead in the 89!
Wow! That's the move he was waiting for!
You're trying to take oh boy, contact!
The Maritime Pro Stock Tour, Fridays at 6 p.m. on Eastlink Community TV 10 and 610.
Last year, we did do 11 races, went to a couple of different venues, went to Speedway 660, returned to Fredericton, went to Petty International Raceway just outside of Moncton. Oyster Bed Speedway. Always love going to Prince Edward Island, and that race last year was a phenomenal show. Obviously, Scotia Speed World up the road from us, where we are in Halifax and Riverside International Speedway, which is the mecca when it comes to racetracks in Canada.
And now Rusty Sr. hops to the outside of the 27 event.
Alex Johnson holds strong in first place, defending his position, as Dylan Dow tries to sneak in underneath.
Oh, he gets into him! Uh-oh. Jeffrey Breen to the outside. Jeffrey looking for his first late model sportsman win in Halifax, and this might be the opportunity to take it. 2 to go for Jeffrey Breen. Johnson fights back on the inside. Door to door through 3 and 4. They'll come to the white flag. Final lap. Breen leads at contact. And they spin to the infield. Caution is out. We'll go to a green-white checker.
Pro Stock is on Eastlink Community TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pros. With 12 to go. Contact.
Can he save it? They both saved
Donald
it.
Chisholm to the lead in the 89.
Wow, that's the move he was waiting for.
Oh boy, contact.
The Maritime Pro Stock Tour, Fridays at 6 p.m. on Eastlink Community TV 10 and 610.
Last year, we did do 11 races, went to a couple of different venues, went to Speedway 660, returned to Fredericton, went to Petty International Raceway just outside of Moncton, Oyster Bed Speedway. Always love going to Prince Edward Island, and that race last year was a phenomenal show. Obviously, Scotia Speed World up the road from us, where we are in Halifax and Riverside International Speedway, which is the mecca when it comes to racetracks in Canada.
And now Rusty Sr. hops to the outside of the 27 event.
Alex Johnson holds strong in first place, defending his position, as Dylan Dow tries to sneak in underneath.
Oh, he gets into him! Uh-oh. Jeffrey Breen to the outside. Jeffrey looking for his first late model sportsman win in Halifax, and this might be the opportunity to take it. 2 to go for Jeffrey Breen. Johnson fights back on the inside. Door to door through 3 and 4. They'll come to the white flag. Final lap. Breen leads at contact. And they spin to the infield. Caution is out. We'll go to a green-white checker. Yellow, boys. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Oh, boy. Another green-white checker to close off a sportsman race in Halifax. Flat left front tire on Jeffrey Breen, 66. What a heartbreak. We'll take a look. There's the contact right there. Breen gets sideways, little contact. Well, Jeffrey Breen led lap 39. We go back to the last completed lap. They're lucky they didn't get the wall down there. And that rear end might be bent again on the 14. Straight victory in races that he has entered. But Jared Butcher is there on the back bumper. Butcher up on the wheel. Leans into him in 3 and 4. Sideways is Butcher. Jared Butcher's come to party. To the inside, to the door of the 2. Door to door through 3 and 4. They'll come to the sticks this time. 2 to go. Tucker holding on. Butcher digging deep. Butcher trying to pick the pocket late of Ashton Tucker. 54, little nudge. Gets back to the inside. Door to door. White flag. Butcher's your leader. Does Tucker have anything left? On the outside, Butcher up the hill. Tucker sideways. Ashton Tucker on the outside. Jared Butcher makes the winning pass with 2 to go, and Butcher's a winner in Fredericton.
Dylan Langell. That guy's ugly.
Biggest restart of Danny Chisholm's career right here, Tim.
It may very well be as Kyle Reed trying to play some games on the outside. Oh, boy. Steve Austin doesn't like it, doesn't display it.
No.
Oh, boy. We're wrecking in turn 1, and it's the field.
Oh, my.
I didn't either. The beer garden got a show. Red flag being displayed. There's not much we can do. The track is blocked. We got one driver climbing out of his car. That is Kyle Reed. Where's Kyle Reed going? Kyle Reed is going up to the 0 and having a oh.
I think the big question, Tim, is who wasn't in that wreck?
Who's left? The 88, the 13, and the 89. So right here, the 42's already gone. He's not the control car from what we've been told. So they're going to pull even down here. They're going to make a little contact, a little more contact. 42 loses control. As the 42, keep an eye on him under yellow. He may hit somebody down there.
He got beat around like a piñata going into turn 1. Nick Noggle completely destroyed.
The 25G might not be too bad.
Man, oh man.
One more look from the second angle, and this is going down into the corner. 42 got beat around like a pinball. Hard hit for Noggle.
I think every car got damage in that wreck.
Yeah.
Except for who's that slow? Jared Butcher.
All the way from Chance Cove, Newfoundland and Labrador, all the way down here at the end. Matt's already got a smile on his face. He just flew in a few minutes ago. I'll talk to you in a bit. How was flight?
Oh, not too bad.
Ross didn't give you any trouble coming in?
No, we just drank, that's all.
Travis, come over here. Your family's won this race 4 times. You've won one of them from the driver's seat. What's it going to take to win a Shriners Classic tonight?
75 laps is a change, too, compared to what we were used to. So, I don't know, man. Just being there at the end, I think. So, it's going to be hard deep in the field because the sportsmen are having such good car counts. I say the guys starting in the top 10 have a little bit of an advantage, obviously. They can save their gear, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly couldn't pick a winner tonight.
You mentioned the word save your gear. How big is patience over a 75-lap race?
Wow. Patience is good no matter what. I've definitely learned that with 2 youngsters now, too. So, 75 seems like a lot, but it's not like a 100 or 150 where you can, save your tires and maintain and save your gear and kind of wait for guys to either take themselves out or just fall off pace. A lot of guys burn it up, but 75 is it's a hard spot because you got to go, especially if you're at the back. So I think the guys in the top 5 can kind of set the pace.
Who do you got your eye on?
Well, a bunch of them. I want to see Alex win it. Him and my old man had a pretty special bond there, and I know it would mean more than the championship to him to win it. So I'd like to see that. Obviously, I want to see Brentley do well. Not so much this year, but last year I was kind of wanting to crew with him. I don't know. There's all kinds of guys I want to see get this win, to be honest with you.
What does this race mean to you and mean to your family?
means everything, really. I mean, we just got to get our stuff together and, actually get our hair back out to one of these. But it is the one race that we always talk about. Everyone talks about. It's not like, it's a bit of an extended race this year, I guess. More so, I guess. But I'd rather win this again than win a championship or another race or a 100-lapper or anything. So it's a pretty special one. And it's for a good cause, and it's just had the prestige about it.
And I know your mama's going to say the command, too.
Yeah, Mama Bear's here, and her brother David, my uncle David, his wife. We just lost her recently. She fought a good battle, and she's with the boys up there, and she was always at the racetrack with them and helping in the pits, and she was one of the boys. So we were sorry about that, but it's good to see them here, and his daughter Zoe, and then I think they're up there with all Alex's crew. So.
And you got 2 electricians helping us out tonight, too.
I do. We got Craig Tully and Danny Veach, and Brad Hayes is up there. I don't think he came down. Danny has been with us on our race car since we started, and Craig's a good buddy. He runs our iRacing deal and all that stuff. So, and they're both good electricians.
Good kart racers too, apparently, in the month of April.
Yeah, I guess.
The aftermath, something like that. As we get this field ready to come down, we'll greet the drivers. We'll introduce you to the field for the 29th Shriners Classic for Sportsmen.
Let's go for a dive. On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. They're all going. There we go. Mike, was it deeper than you thought?
Yeah, so like you said, that was my first time out of the country, and it was incredible. Tim, you and I had a conversation in the car, and it really reminded me of why I got into racing in the first place. The community was amazing. Everyone was so welcoming, down to people made me a sign, which was so incredible. Just everyone was so welcoming, and it was amazing racing, absolutely amazing racing out of everyone. So it was really cool to see, really cool to experience as well. I've kind of moved up in the ranks a little bit now. I don't get to go to as many, grassroots local shows as I would like to anymore. Working a lot with, Super Dirt Car Series and Extreme Outlaw Midgets, so I get to see a lot of the bigger stuff. But, that's exactly why I got into racing. Good people, great race cars, and people who truly care about the sport. It was absolutely incredible, and the area was gorgeous.
They are not. Chris Drover to the outside, and here comes the 92 with Dylan McMillan to the upside. Now it's Talladega 2 lanes deep.
We haven't even made 10 full laps yet, and the action is just abounding throughout this feature. Timmy Geldart continues to lead with pressure on the outside from McMillan.
Chris McMullen to the inside of Peter Brown, side by side.
We haven't spoken too much yet about the 48 of Chris Drover, Tim, but he's making his way up to the top 5 right now on the high side of Tim Wright.
3 wide, middle of the pack, Dylan McMillan falling back, and here comes Chris McMullen. McMullen 3 wide to the inside. And here comes Tyler Hallahan on the Bando track. Geldart, half sideways. No, maybe no. Oh, big. How did Timmy Geldart not hit anybody or anything going through the pack?
Yeah, he was able to pull it to a stop on the grass for folks who couldn't see over the edge. Timmy Geldart, the 75, coming up the hill.
Wow.
He could have easily gotten even that inside wall, so good wheel work there. That was a wild car.
Let's take a look and hang on to this one. Timmy Geldart's in the middle of this replay, gets hit by Tim Wright. And I think, Richard, the 10 comes up the track, the 75.
And then he has to chase it here, and he's fishtailing there, Tim. Oh, almost got Drover in the back there.
And take a look at this one more time, because they're calling the 33, too.
So there's the big run from Chris McMullen on the
So
inside.
watch the 33 on the far end of your shot here. He gets the 75 right here.
So the 33 gets the inside of the 10.
Actually, you know what? This is the lap before. No, it's
Is
not.
it? Nope,
No,
there we
it's
go.
not. Did the 33?
I don't know.
71, Chase McKay and Ethan Hicken rip down to turn number 3. Hicken will slide behind the number 71. How about Jake Campbell working the outside here, Tim, trying to get around Turple and Hudson Ruff?
Yeah, how about Ben Turple in the 4? What a great run for the driver. Oh, no. Oh, big. Up and over goes Hudson Ruff.
7 Haley Bland. And race fans, he is popping out of the top of that 83. Let's give Hudson Ruff a hand. A wild ride here early in this race.
We will take a look at the Conway Customs replay, and hang on, folks. Watch here going into your shot, the 4 of Turp, a little bit of a bobble. That contact right there, and then just catch his tires. 1, 2, 3, and back on his wheels.
Yep. And again, to reiterate here that all the drivers involved are all good, including Hudson Ruff, who again went there 3 complete barrel rolls in that 83. But it just shows, as we see some drivers start to pull away, the safety that goes into these cars, Tim, and the equipment that is required. We hear about how you can cheap out on your paint scheme. You can cheap out on your driving suit to a point. You can't cheap out on safety.
Watch this. That Brandon Campbell's watching from Moncton, and the first thing he told me is, man, those weren't soft rolls. He was right.
Nope.
That was better than yours. Not as good as his first one. Pace truck is in. 8 laps, Bandolero Outlaws for Blue Nose Pools. Green flag flies. McMillan breaks the bumper on the inside of the pole sitter before the start-finish line. Oh, we're trying 3. Ireland Road. No. Oh, big. Over the wall.
I hope everybody's okay over there.
And Bristol Matthews is out of the 99 car. Lily Wynot, Bristol Matthews out under their own power. That was wild. Let's take a look at the replay. That might be the wildest wreck I've seen in a Bandolero here in Halifax. Watch the 2 and the 47. Into the 99. 99 up into the 2, and the 2 exits the park, and the 99 rolls it over.
Holy crap. Back at it once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway, the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. We've gone through the qualifying races, we've gone through the heat races, we've gone through the consolation races, and we have ourselves a field that is set. Jesse, this is going to be a whole lot of fun.
well. Riley Frost in the 52. Chris McKenna and Doug Murray, winners of our last chance qualifier events. Then we got Scott Negus. He's been putting on a big show here today. Todd Cousins in the 2. Jason Goss in car number 41. Brendan O'Neill in the 58. Craig Weigel going to start position number 23. And Brett Byron in car number 22, lining up position number 24. Our final few spots will be held by the 73 of Dave Horton, Nathan Langell. Behind the wheel of the 51, in just a few moments' time. And of course, Colin Boudreau going to line up position number 27. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Jim Hallahan 333, a Tim's Corner Motorsports special event here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Regan, bring us in. We are ready to go.
Yes, sir. Green flag on the Daniel Jim Hallahan 333. Mike Alexander leading the charge. Top 4 single file off of turn number 2. Now top 5. Matthew Barkhouse second. Tent Woolridge third. Ashton Tucker fourth. Riley Duncan rounding out the top 5 here. Lap number 1 to the 75 of Mike Alexander.
You'll notice in the top corner of the VidaneTV ticker, we have got 3.5 hours to get this 333 lap main event in the books. Obviously, we are hoping to be out of here long before that, but 331 laps left to go. Only a couple in the books now. We have already got some battles. Riley Duncan to the inside in car number 97. Side-by-side battle with Ashton Tucker.
Alexander Barkhouse getting away. Woolridge just ahead of that battle between the 2 and the 97. Riley Duncan carrying on. Of course, the number 97 Easy Clean Pressure Systems super late model that you see Chris Duncan running out here in the Maritimes across Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. Side by side still ahead of Braden Langell, Brandon Campbell, Mike Rhino. As Duncan about looking to dive underneath to make it 3 wide. As Tucker gets ahead, Woolridge might have had a bit of a moment there.
Trouble further back, Regan. We have got Ryan Messer turned around. We got a few cars piled into that one. Caution flag comes out for the first time, and Nathan Langell gonna send Scott Negus around. I'm not sure that was intentional, but yellow flag going to come out for the first time here today. 5 laps in the books.
Yeah, we're going to back up to U-House Racing Designs Instant Replay. For some reason, the automatic little button that I set up didn't seem to want to work. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We'll take a peek at it here from the drone cam. And we got to give a shout-out to AC4. Oh, Ryan Messer around. There you can see. Looks like he may have gotten a little bit of help here. Got a little bit of a bump there to send him on around. The good news is everybody was able to get everything pointed in the right direction. You can see Messer had to check up from the back bumper of the 34 car and had a little bit of a parking lot here momentarily, but look at the heads-up driving by all these drivers. Everybody able to get slowed down, woed down, pointed in the right direction. We grab a gear, we get rolling once again, and it looks like a no harm, no foul instance for a lot of drivers. A little bit of the virtual sheet metal damage, but that's what the pit crews are here for.
Well, Regan, early on in this one, I'm going to say Riley Duncan is on the move and not wasting any time up front.
Absolutely, up to 5th place. It's incredible that incident that we had there off of 4, Ryan Messer going around, didn't collect another whole bunch of cars there. That could have been about half the field or even more involved in that one. Cars getting double file here on the front straightaway.
Glad to have everybody tuned in here on VidaneTV. Of course, make sure to like VidaneTV and all the socials. Check them out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't use TikTok myself, but maybe Paul will teach me if I ever bring myself up to getting on the old TikTok. He'll teach me how to do it. But right now, we are going to send these drivers off in a few moments' time. Mike Alexander and Matt Barkhouse leading in the front row, ready to bring this field back to the green.
Mike Alexander once again takes the field back to the green flag. Matthew Barkhouse second place. Ashton Tucker 10th. Woolridge were side by side there for 3rd, but the 2 moves up. Now Duncan will look underneath Woolridge once again, as you said earlier, Jesse, looking to continue being that hard charger up towards the front. Woolridge tried to clear himself ahead of Braden Langell. Eventually he will single file through much of this first half of the field.
Couple of drivers there in our shot to keep an eye on. The 26 of Braden Langell and, of course, Brandon Campbell in the 99, your points leader. Going into today's event, they are going to probably pace themselves early on in this one. Still a long way to go, only 12 laps in the books. Out of the 333 that we are looking to contest on the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. Mike Rhino there as well in the 34. Mike's won quite a few of these events before and wants to win this one. Of course, at the tail end of the top 10, Ben Ryan, and how about Tyler Hallahan? This is a big day for the Hallahan family. The hugger back out on the racetrack in the 33. Famous colors for that team and for that car. And he's going to pace himself, see if he can't get to the front of this field before it's all said and done.
319 laps remaining, still plenty of time to make things happen here. Drivers just trying to put all the laps down, get closer and closer to the halfway point and the end of this race. Not really fully necessary to go all out early on in this one. Pretty much the entirety of the field single file around the high banks here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Ashton Tucker looks like he might be trying to look up high here on Matthew Barkhouse for that second position. Barkhouse to the middle, Tucker way up high.
I'm sure a few of the King Competition boys are tuned in. Some of the fans of Ashton Tucker tuned in, cheering him on, seeing if that 2 car can get to the front of this field. I'm sure Corey Hall tuned in as well with his close competitor and teammate Ashton Tucker in the 2. Holding on to 3rd at the moment. But it's Alexander and Barkhouse, your top 2, and then it's Ashton Tucker, then it's Riley Duncan and Tanton Woolridge. But Barkhouse really defending from that 2 car. Long way to go in this one, 314 left to go. Kind of like when you're at work and you're staring at the clock and you're waiting for it to be the end of the day. Time always seems to go a little bit slower, but these cars pick off these lap times really, really quickly around Bristol, probably in the 14.5, 14.6, 14.7 range, as we've seen on our timing and scoring. So, Regan, we've got a long way to go in this one, but they got to pace themselves. These tires and these fuel loads are not going to last the entire event.
Agreed, as Tucker now looks to the inside of Barkhouse, or at least he did there in turns 1 and 2. He is hounding him all over the back end as Alexander continues to lead the field. And there's Riley Duncan still back in there in 4th place, looking to pounce if those 2 get together ahead of him. Duncan being one of 4 drivers here in this race that have already won a race so far in this TCM Special Events 24-25 season. Messer with the most wins, of course, with 2 back in December. Messer all the way back in 17, just outside the top 15. And again, as you were talking about, there's still plenty of room, plenty of time for things to happen here. Messer has all the time in the world to try and make his way up to the front, as long as obviously nothing catastrophic happens here in these early stages.
Messer showing that he knows how to get around this racetrack and knows how to drive these super late models. Works his way around Todd Cousins, or he's going to try and do so now. Finding himself 16th at the moment. And right now looking around Chris McKenna as well. And the 18 of Doug Murray. Now we've got a good onboard view of Ryan Messer up into the top 15 once again. This could be a story when it's all said and done. Can Messer get back to the front of the field? 306 or so laps left to go. We're already 27 in the books. And it's been all Mike Alexander and Matt Barkhouse up front. Ashton Tucker, Riley Duncan, and Tanton Woolridge continue to be your top 5, but keep an eye on Big Orange. Ryan Messer works his way towards the front of the field, but he's got that Rowdy Energy Toyota kind of making things difficult for him at the moment.
Couple of positions more up front in 10th place. Tyler Hallahan trying to defend himself off of Greg Snellgrove, Riley Frost, and Devin Laffin. The Hallahan name doing pretty solid here thus far in this Jim Hallahan. 333 again, bottom of the top 10. Of course, Messer starting to approach that 4-car pack down the backstretch.
Mike Rhino finds himself in a battle as well. He's got Ben Ryan in behind him in the 218. Brandon Campbell searching around this racetrack outside of the, kind of outside of what he normally drives. And that 99 car, if he can get that Toyota to the front, he's probably going to do pretty well, but right now he's got Braden Langell ahead of him. Tires might be starting to go on that 99 car. You can see him searching around, fighting the wheel a little bit, sawing the wheel on the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway to the extreme outside, but can't get the run on the 26. He might be able to get there this time. A little bit loose on entry, and that will allow Mike Rhino to close in.
I think he's also tapped the outside wall a couple of times there, but still been able to hang on to that 7th position. Good run down the backstretch in behind Braden Langell. Decides to back off, though. He remains ahead of Mike Rhino and Ben Ryan. Still so far so good.
Yeah, outside of that kind of schmozzle we had early on in this race, it's been pretty clean and green so far since the lap 9 or 10 restart. We are 35 laps into this one, long way to go. And Alexander, how much is he pacing himself and how much is he saving the tires and just kind of letting the field use up their tires to get to him? We know Mike Alexander's pretty good at this sim racing deal. We know he's good at the real life racing deal as well. But the 75 right now, Xander Sign, Arnar Kinsman's on the car. And he is making his way around Bristol Motor Speedway, trying to grab his first. Jim Hallahan, 333 in his career.
Those top three are really pacing themselves pretty well early on. And this one is, again, right back to Brandon Campbell. You were saying about tire wear and such has already fallen back a couple of positions ever since we were talking about him. He was looking to the inside of Braden Langell just a couple laps ago, but then fell off there as Mike Reno took advantage on the outside. So Campbell drops back to 8th.
Ryan Messer about to find his way into the top 10 once again. Very impressive drive out of the Harvey driver. And the one car going to find his way down the backstretch and up another position. What can Ryan Messer do with this one car? You can see the wheel kind of turning a little bit the other way, maybe from that early incident early in this race. It's not optimal, but he's making it work. The Dana's Collision Waterfront Pub and Eatery #1 is up into the top 10. 41 laps in the books.
Thank goodness that incident wasn't fully major there for the #1 car. He wants to stay in the lead lap and still be in contention for a good finish or even win here in today's 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333. Might take on maybe a little bit of damage there that might be affecting him just a little bit. He's trying to get comfortable with that and work with what he's got now.
And I saw a little graphic earlier. I wonder if we could bring that back up of drivers that have moved up in this race. Yeah, there we go. Paul Strickland Jr. pushing the buttons, making it happen. Todd Cousins, Craig Weigel, Mike Rhino, Greg Snellgrove, some of the big movers in this race so far, but not a ton of moving. Not, well, I guess Ryan Messer up, back up to where he was. Obviously, he's passed a lot of cars in this race, but currently back into the 10th spot. As we approach the 50 lap mark in a couple laps time, Matt Barkhouse is deciding, and there goes Brandon Campbell up into the wall. He will tag the outside wall. Ben Ryan to his inside. Now Ryan Messer is going to close in the one car.
Ashton Tucker had a moment there about a lap or two ago. He slid up and did a bit of a wall right there in turn 1. That dropped him back further from the 75 and the 15. So now Riley Duncan and Tan Woolwer just started to catch up. But yeah, we were seeing the graphic there, positions gained. The way this racing product has been so far early on in this one, it just seems like most guys are kind of stuck where they really are, unless, again, you know, the way you turn to the corners, corner exit, the lanes that you choose to be in, tire wear as well, a whole bunch of different factors that cause these drivers to have a couple of positions gained or lost. But for the most part so far, drivers have been kind of stuck.
And if you look to the outside of this racetrack, you can see a lot of those marbles up against the wall, the black chunks of rubber coming off the tires, really making it dirty for somebody like Brandon Campbell to get up against the wall and get past. A couple of positions ahead, though. We got a good battle between Riley Duncan and Tanton Woolridge. They continue to run side by side. Duncan has held on to the spot for the last probably 50 laps or so. But Tanton Woolridge wants that spot back, and now he's going to try and work over the 97. Can't seem to make it happen. Front end's getting a little light in both of those race cars. They will continue to duke it out.
Duncan might have gotten a little bit of the marbles there through turns 3 and 4, but still with that higher line, that corner exit really taken advantage over Tanton Woolridge thus far. It's been able to help him keep firm in that 4th position. That gap between him and the 2 still remaining relatively the same. I think after that little moment that Tucker had, now he's starting to try and catch back up to the 75 and the 15. Woolridge continues to dive underneath the number 97 Easy Clean Pressure System super late model, but just hasn't been able to do much thus far.
Yeah, Ashton Tucker in that 2 car. Obviously, he knows how to win in these big events, but right now, Tucker is maybe doesn't have the front end drive that he would like. Hold on to 3rd for now, but Riley Duncan using up everything he's got to get back to the back bumper of the 2 car, and it's allowing Woolridge to stay close. We look to the inside of Riley Duncan here. The 97 starting to fight the wheels, center of the front stretch, way up the racetrack. And a couple of drivers now got to get around the 58 car. That's Brendan O'Neill. He is currently 2 laps down. And we are 57 laps in to the Jim Hallahan 333. We'll take you through a full field rundown at the moment as a good battle starts to shape up in behind. Regan, feel free to jump in if something is to happen there. But Mike Alexander currently leads. Matt Barkhouse, Ashton Tucker, Riley Duncan, Tanton Woolridge, your top 5. Braden Langell is 6th. Mike Rhino 7th. Brandon Campbell is 8th. Ryan Messer back up to the 9th spot after an early incident. I think he just made the move on Brandon Campbell, so Campbell's back a spot. Ben Ryan rounding out the top 10. Greg Snellgrove, Riley Frost, Tyler Hallahan, Todd Cousins, and Scott Negus round out the top 15. Devin Laffin, Doug Murray, Jason Goss, and Craig Weigel and Brett Byron rounding out the top 20. 21st is Colin Boudreau. Dave Horton in 22nd. Chris McKenna, winner of the Last Chance race, in 23rd. Brendan O'Neill is 2 laps down, 24th. Dylan Black only completing 39 laps of this event. And Nathan Langell only completing 8 laps of the Jim Hallahan 333, finding himself in 26th. Regan, what have I missed?
Pretty much relatively the same stuff. Some double file action throughout the field, but not a whole lot has changed. It looked like there was some contact there between 2 cars going down the front stretch. Brendan O'Neill might have been one of those guys. He's been having some trouble there as a lap car. Everybody trying to get around him. Been getting in the wall a couple of times there, but again, everybody's keeping the wheels in the steering wheel and the tires on all 4 and straight. That's all that matters.
You say nothing has changed. It looks like the 56 Tanton Woolridge has moved up a couple of spots up onto the podium, and Braden Langell is on the move now in that 26 car. He will begin to work over Riley Duncan in the 97, the Rowdy Energy Toyota, on the inside of the 97 to the extreme bottom of the racetrack. Can't get the run through the center of the corner that 97 can.
Alexander will be catching up to a bit of a battle here between Dave Horton and Colin Boudreau. That's back for 22nd place. So hopefully those 2 guys will be able to get single files so that these lead lap cars can get past them with no issue.
66 laps in the books now. Looks like we're going to come up on lap 67. Mike Alexander has led every lap so far. Matt Barkhouse has held on to 2nd since the initial start. They did a redraw of the top 10, and those boys ended up locking out the front row. A little bit of a smaller field, I believe, than we've had in years past, and it's allowing this field to spread out, and the calamity meter is kind of on the low side at the moment, but I'm sure it's going to get a little crazy as we head towards the back half of this event.
Ford starts to catch up to those top two cars in Alexander and Barkhouse there. If we look back a couple of positions here, talking about how much of a hard charger Ryan Messer's been, he's up to 6th. He's looking for a top 5 position, trying to dive down to the inside of Riley Duncan through 3 and 4. So Woolridge and Messer both have been making their way up and putting on some more positions gained in these last couple of laps.
I know there was some talk before the race started that, you know, if there was a long green flag run like this, well, we're going to let it happen. These guys are going to have to figure it out. Eventually, they're probably going to be screaming for fuel and tires. Probably about 20 laps away from that point now. But right now, as you mentioned, Ryan Messer up underneath Riley Duncan, and the 1 car is knocking on the door of the top 5.
No competition cautions. These guys just have to go straight pedal to the metal. And that just adds an even bigger factor there to the overall attrition of this. Jim Hallahan, 333, again, 262 laps to go. Still plenty of time. Laps are winding down pretty quick as these top guys trying to make their way through lap traffic. Again, not too many issues from that thus far. Hopefully the commentator's jinx doesn't happen.
No, I think we're all right now. Looks like Brendan O'Neill has probably called it an afternoon. He is 24th and 11 laps down, and just going more laps down as the laps click off. Dave Horton in the 73 is a lap down, and Colin Boudreau is 1 lap down at the moment. That will give us 21 cars on the lead lap, and Messer now has made his way by Riley Duncan. And it looks like Nathan Langell is on the racetrack, so apologies for that one. For the Coldbrook driver, the 51 car is 54 laps down. Just logging some laps, maybe hoping he can gain a couple of spots. But do apologize for that one to the crew of the 51 car with the nasty colors.
Along with Ryan Messer's outstanding long run performance thus far, Tan Woolridge all over the rear bumper of the 15 of Matthew Barkhouse. He's really been utilizing that inside line throughout this entirety of these first 60, 70 laps or so that have wound down thus far here at Bristol. And even too, with like tire wear and all these dives down the inside compared to running up on the high side, it's quite impressive out of the Summerside driver.
79 laps in the books as Alexander crosses the line, but the battle, as you mentioned, is for second. Matt Barkhouse holds on to it, and Tant Woolridge wants it. Dave Horton is there, albeit a lap down, but these lead lap cars are going to have to get around the 73, and for someone like Ashton Tucker, he's got to make do with what's in front of him and not let these guys get out in front of him too far. Continues to hound. Horton tags the wall in the front stretch. Tim Woolridge continuing to hound the 15 of Matt Barkhouse. Can't quite get the drive off of the bottom of the corner that the 15 car can. 82 laps in the books. So we're probably going to see some pit stops, probably around 95 to 98. I would assume. Let's see if we can get some fresh tires on these cars, get some adjustments if they're able to do that. But it's been all Mike Alexander up front in the Jim Hallahan 333 as Greg Snellgrove has made his way to the pit area. Not sure if it's a scheduled pit stop or not. And we will see if he can come back out on the racetrack, but attrition is going to play a factor in this one, and some guys might be dropping off as looks like the Jacks are up on the 22, so I think he's getting a scheduled stop. And this battle continues to rage for the 3rd spot.
One of those cars on pit road, Dylan Black, has called it a day. Is on the track, Ashton Tucker, Ryan Messer in a battle here for 4th place. No doubt that these guys are going to be close together when we get to racing for the 2025 Easy Clean Super Late Model Series season. Again, the reigning champion versus the driver that won the Riverview Ford season opener back in 2023 as they make contact. Going into turn 1, Messer shooting Tucker up high. The one gets by, but it had to take a little bit of contact to make that happen.
Messer currently being scored Oh, we might have had an issue with Ryan Messer. Uh-oh. His good run may have just gone south. Messer, I think, is disconnected from the server. And something has happened, and he is not going to be there at the end of this one.
You know, Jesse, I was going to hold on to that story for just a little bit. Ryan Messer had some Wi-Fi issues back with the RBR Season 8 closer. He and Tanton Woolridge were battling it out for the championship. Same thing happened. Something happened where the Wi-Fi at the Messer camp just kind of took a poop. So unfortunately disconnected from the server. I bet we'll see the one car back out here as we got a caution flag out here with 2:44 to go. Man, things are getting wild here. 90 laps in.
That's going to be really good timing for the one car. If he can get back into the server, it looks like he is back in according to timing and scoring. Yeah, he's back out on the track, but he's 3 laps down with 243 left to go. He will not be happy about that one, but the leaders are going to head to the pit area. And Messer might be able to get one of his laps back. Wow, okay, we got to catch our breath for a moment. Paul, long green flag runs here. Very, very surprised to see that in this Jim Hallahan 333.
Absolutely, it's a welcome surprise to have. Not really a surprise, because we've really got the best of the best here in iRacing here with these Tim's Corner Motorsports special events, especially these kind of crown jewel events that we do each and every year with the Jim Hallahan 333. Putting a feather in the cap of the season. We got a couple more TCM events coming up here. The showcase coming up in a couple of weeks' time, but it's been wild. Lots of different stories throughout the field here. Ryan Messer having some connection issues back in the field, albeit a couple of laps down. Made mention he and Tanton Woolridge battling it out for the championship. Messer was leading that championship. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi issue knocked him out of that race, and Tanton Woolridge said, no, I'm not going to win the championship that way. I want to earn it. I want to beat Messer fair and square. So it was his idea. It was Tanton Woolridge's idea to say, hey, we're going to go one final round. That's going to be live on VidaneTV. We do not have the details as the track or the distance or anything like that, but we do know it's going to be the 28th of January. A little bit of a shootout between Tanton Woolridge and Ryan Messer for the RBR Maritime iRacing Season 8 Championship. That's going to be a whole lot of fun, and that's just one of the many races we've got on the docket here for the month of January, as well in the month of February. Lots of racing action. We're racing 4 nights a week for the next month or so. Tomorrow night, the Fast 1 late models come back to us. Tuesday night, we got some Tim's Corner Motorsports action on the go. Wednesday, Turn 4 podcast comes back. And then Thursday night, the NEP Super Truck Series back in action after a little bit of a holiday break. But Jesse, the lights are off on the pace car. Break time's over. It's time to get back to work. I've only got 2 more iced coffees in the production truck, so we might have to go on a run here in a minute.
Oh boy, and there's probably a seat at Buffalo Wild Wings waiting for you when this is all said and done. Hopefully you have some stuff to talk about with the bartenders there, but 240 laps left to go in this one. 94 laps in the books currently for the Cars and Stars of the Tim's Corner Motorsports Special Events Series. Mike Alexander and Matt Barkhouse have been the class of the field so far in this event. Tanton Woolridge and the 2 of Ashton Tucker have been up in that top 5 as well. Riley Duncan was putting the pressure to the rest of the top 5, but has since backed off. Maybe tires started to give way on the 97. We'll see what he can do as we head into the next phase of the race.
And for the record, that caution that came out, Brett Byron and Chris McKenna got together down the backstretch. Sent the 22 sideways into turn 3. Didn't fully spin around, got it back going, but iRacing did throw the caution out. But now this restart's going to make things interesting. Everybody's packed back together. Green flag. Mike Alexander, Matthew Barkhouse leading the charge.
Still about 25 cars left on this racetrack. Right now, it's the brothers, Mike Alexander and Matt Barkhouse, continuing to do battle up front, and Alexander, as he's done all race long, leading lap number 96 as Barkhouse running that middle groove around the corners of this racetrack. Tanton Woolridge with a mirror full, the White Lightning Auto Center, number 2. Top 5 and 6 all single file. We got a battle for the 7th spot in behind as Braden Langell and Riley Frost starting to do battle.
I was going to say some close action there from the 026 and the 52 for that 7th position. Frost got it there at the line. They continue to duke it out. A couple battles, a couple positions back there. Brandon Campbell and Craig Weigel are going at it for what looks to be, I believe that's 10th. Yeah, double fight there. Oh, Weigel, I believe, got in the wall. He drops back. And Ryan takes advantage. Side by side, Nathan Langell and Doug Murray in behind.
100 laps in the book so far. 233 left to go. It's the Jim Hallahan 333, the 5th running of this event here in 2025 now. Hard to believe that it's been 5 runnings of this event, and it is getting exciting in this this next 100-lap chunk that we've got here. As Scott Negus in the 55, where did he come from? Now he's up into the top 10. Scott Negus might be one of the ones to watch here in this race. If luck can be on his side, that 55 car is slicing and dicing his way through the field. He's had to get by Langell. Langell's starting to drop off. Brendan Campbell now going to try the inside in the 99 car. Can he get there? A lot like the high banks of Winchester Speedway, that outside line is the place to be unless you've got a huge advantage on the inside. But side-by-side battle continues. Negus and the 99 of Campbell duking it out in the top 10.
2 cars up high if Campbell now. That's Ben Ryan looking to use that middle to high line as well. Contact down the front stretch. Negus gets turned. Caution.
And there goes the luck for the 55 car. Parkside Pub, Atlantic Tilt Load number 55. Let's check out the U-House Racing Designs instant replay. See Ben Ryan here in the 218. Closes in, closes in. And I almost think that Negus might have got loose before Ryan ever got to him. We'll have one more look at it and see here. And we'll get a little closer here and we'll find out. Yeah, there might have been contact after all, but definitely was contact, but I think there was some to start it all. And Messer, good advantage to go to the inside and avoid all of that after all the work he's had to do in this race.
From an angle I'm looking at right now, there was definite contact there between the 55 and the 218 there. Campbell did get a bit of a side skirt right there. There was also Braden Langell into the back of Ryan, also into Negus as well. Negus didn't fully spin around though. It's just like what Brett Byron went through earlier. Did spin about halfway, but not fully around, able to keep it going. And thank goodness, yeah, another incident here where it's not like half the field piling up.
This Jim Hallahan 333 starting to play out a little bit like almost like the 250 we had at Speedway 660, where the first 100 laps or so were pretty well green, and then the next probably 60 or 70 laps were a little attrition filled, a little bit incident filled. As drivers know what they have now, especially on these fresh tires, and you know, time is going to run out really, really quickly if you don't get up on the wheel.
I agree. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to that due to a conflict over at Oysterbed Speedway, but yes, I do agree whenever I look back at the replay on Flow Racing a couple days after, that certainly was the name of the game in the Gear 250 at Speedway 660. Again, drivers just trying to get comfortable, figure out their cars, what's going to be like, obviously, for the whole 250 laps, and then about close to halfway or so, and then the rest of the way, you know, it's all attrition and trying to really put together those strategies at the perfect times, and those battles really start to come together as well. The intensity ramps up as I'm guessing we're going to be restarting here this time.
Looks like we'll be sending them off one more time. 224 left to go. Probably 50 or so laps away from the halfway point of this event. Off of 4 one more time. Green flag back in the air. It's all Mike Alexander out front, but now has Matt Barkhouse. Has he run out of steam to hold on to that second spot? Is he ready to go to the front of the field? And he is going to continue to defend for Alexander as Mike Rhino is starting to make some moves. Around the 97 and jumps to the outside of the easy clean number 97. And Rhino wants that top 5 run in this Jim Hallahan 333.
Woolridge was down low on Tucker looking for that third spot, but has dropped him back now. Look at that car was in the wall there towards the back of the field, but we remain going just fine. Top 4 single file, almost top 5. There's a battle back there with Brandon Campbell and O'Reilly Duncan.
And Campbell continues to be impressive in this race. The 99 car, former mini stock competitor, former legend car competitor, has really turned it up in these iRacing super late model events. And the 99 has made a, he's made a bit of a name for himself. Obviously, he's leading the points with the TCM special events standings. Probably looks like 32 points over Tanton Woolridge. So right now, the 99 has got to get up a couple of spots ahead of that 56 car.
I believe it'd actually be 22 points separating Campbell and Woolridge for that first position point standings. Obviously, Woolridge moved back to second in the standings last night behind Campbell, so those street stock races that occurred shook things up a little bit up towards the top there. Of course, Campbell there's one car ahead of him, and then there's Woolridge right there. The 34 is kind of the monkey in the middle. Mike Rhino in 5th. Woolridge is 4th. So Campbell will be looking to get up into the top 5 and have a battle with the driver in behind him in points, and maybe just a little bit.
And Ashton Tucker's decided it's go time. He wants to get back towards the front of this field. He's 3rd at the moment. He's been there all race long. And the 56 is relegated back to 4th. Woolridge drives it deep to the inside, can't get the run off of the corner to get around the 2 car. But Tucker, and you notice the top 2 now have started to, they've started to search around this racetrack, I guess, as it were, to get the best lane around Bristol Motor Speedway. They've moved to the top 3rd of the track. Not quite out to the wall where the marbles are, but down a little bit from there. And right now, the 15 is a bit of a thorn in the side to the 2 car. But they're putting on a great battle. 212 laps left to go. 121 in the books. It'll be 122 as they come along across the stripe.
Now that top 2 continues to pace well, quite frankly, throughout this race so far. They really haven't made any errors. That's why they have continued to pioneer the field. But man, oh man, are there ever a bunch of competitors in behind them that have started to figure out where they're going, figure out how comfortable they are, and they've started to pick up some speed, including again, Ashton Tucker, Tanton Woolridge, with Rhino up there. Brandon Campbell we saw struggling a little bit in that first stage there until we had that caution starting to drop back a little bit, but he is in 6th, just outside the top 5. And Ryan Messer, obviously, another hard charger campaign going on. Well, actually, never mind. He's 23rd.
Well, he's 23rd, but he's got the speed to be up in the top 5, as we've seen. Unfortunately, 3 laps down at the moment, but with 209 left to go, and the caution flag is going to come out.
There's oh yeah, big wreck, turn 4. Brendan O'Neill, Colin Boudreau, Tyler Hallahan, also collected by the looks of it.
And let's check out the instant replay here. It starts way ahead of this 41 car. As, yeah, it looks like the 35 gets turned around. That's Chris McKenna. Ben Ryan there as well. And Snellgrove was involved as well. If we can go up maybe a couple of spots on that replay, I think we'll be able to see what started that one.
Ironically, those 2 were the same drivers that were caught up in the reason for that first caution.
So people are able to go up a couple of spots, and it's Brett Byron. And unfortunately, not on the side of race control is that 22 car, the white one. And I'm sure race control is going to be having a bit of a conversation with Brett Byron. Calling it like it is.
Yep, those two have gotten together for the second time now in this Jim Hallahan 333.
Yeah, so we'll find out here. Obviously, big thanks goes out to Paul Strickland for, helping to make sure we have all the action here on iRacing. Pushing the buttons, running the numbers, making this show look as good as it does. I mean, the graphics work and the timing and scoring and everything that we've got here in the booth to be able to call this race is really, really impressive. And, well, Tim Terry has stopped by. Tim, do you have good or bad news for us?
You said unimpressive, so I have some unimpressive news for you.
You have news. All right.
We have told the 22 car that he has hit way too many cars today through qualifying and today's show between him and the 35. 22's been warned he's got one more caution. If not, he will be on the trailer for the rest of the show, and we're only on lap 128, something like that.
So, one more incident, and he'll find himself in the hot dog line, is what you're saying.
He might want to be careful with where he's racing around his race car, but he is top 3 in points. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let him do. He's had a decent season. Just sometimes it's not your night.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sometimes you gotta have that conversation with the driver, and Tim Terry, to his credit, runs a really tight ship on these events, and race control and everybody involved in this one. I see Caden Tufts is in there. Working race control for today's event. I'm sure Caden wanted to be in this event, but we got to make sure things happen in a really smooth fashion around here. Regan, we're ready to head back to green. Green flag back in the air. The Jim Hallahan 333 back underway with 131 laps in the book. So still over 200 laps left in this event. It is a marathon event.
Yes, sir. Top two pulling away as per usual. Then Tucker and Woolridge. Brandon Campbell trying to get up there towards that top 5. He's ahead of Riley Duncan and Mike Reno. They're battling at in behind. There goes Campbell to the high side of Woolridge looking for the 4th position. Then there's Ashton Tucker right on ahead. Great restart by the 99.
Good battles as we've seen up towards the front of this field. One guy we got to talk about, Riley Frost in that 52, has really shown some speed. A former competitor with the Atlantic Modified Tour, has been doing some enduro events at tracks in the Maritimes. And in the off season, in behind the wheel of this Ricmotec super late model, and the 52 was on the move. He could be up into a good top 5 spot sooner rather than later. How about Scott Negus in the 55? He was involved in an incident a little while ago, brought out one of the cautions, and now finds himself knocking on the door once again of a top 10.
And he and a bunch of other drivers have been some incredible hard chargers here on this restart. And then the complete opposite of that is Tan Woolridge back to 7th. He's side by side with Riley Frost, the 52, into turn 3 there in back of Mike Rhino. Single file top 6. And then, of course, that battle with the 52 and the 56 rages on. And then Ben Ryan looking to take advantage at some point if these two eventually get single file or better on the right rear quarter panel there of the 56, as that 52 you can see is getting that better run off a corner exit up on the high side.
And Regan, in an event like this, so you and I have done some sim racing. I've got quite a few hours in sports car racing, more than the oval stuff, but in a long event like this, how do you keep your composure? How do you make sure you're there at the end and not, sticking the nose in where it doesn't belong?
You just got to keep your stuff clean, keep patient. If anybody does try to rub with you a little bit, you try to make sure they don't get in your head, and you keep yourself going, keep that composure, and you'll be able to make it to the end of this 333 lap race. And at the same time too, obviously this race has been a lot calmer than anticipated, but whenever those moments out of nowhere do happen where things start to ramp up, or there may be an incident like the ones that we've seen earlier in this race, you try to avoid them as much as possible, be in the right spots at the right times. And a lot of drivers we've seen been doing that in these last couple incidents that we had with like Ryan Messer, Scott Negus. Somehow not a whole bunch of other cars getting collected in these wrecks. So again, it's been so far so good, but again, there could be a ticking time bomb as we're speaking.
I think to about a year ago now, I did an 8-hour race at the Daytona road course. And about hour 4 or 5, your mind starts to wander just a little bit as you're making laps, trying to make positions, get around lap traffic. But then towards the end, it's funny, it kind of comes back to you as you get towards the end of the race, and depending on the weather, the sun
we got
might
a car
be
on
starting
the wall,
to set.
backstretch, sorry to interrupt. Riley
No,
Frost.
that's okay. We've got action there. Riley Frost obviously has found himself in the wall. Tough break for the 52, as we were just talking about.
He keeps it going, though. Did scrub the wall there out of 2. I believe Braden Langell also doing that as well in 8th place. Or excludes. That's Todd Cousins, actually. Oh, boy. We have Caden Tufts in here.
We do.
I see a Caden Tufts in here. Caden, what are you seeing so far?
Lots of racing. A couple cars hitting walls. That's what I'm seeing.
Normally you would be in this kind of event, but you find yourself in the race control booth. What's the story on that?
I'm leaving for hockey in about 2 minutes.
Okay, all right. So you've seen enough. You're gonna trust him to kind of handle things up there, right?
I guess so. Yeah, he's already blamed half the calls on me. So
all
we're
right.
doing great.
Well, all right. Well, let's race into the Maritimes. Yeah, sounds like it. Well, if you're taking off, enjoy yourself. Thank you for everything you've done in this event so far, and hope to see you back on the virtual racetrack soon.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess now that it's calmed down a little bit, Regan, to finish my point from a little bit ago before that incident with the 52, it's funny, your mind starts to wander in these long races, and then towards the end of it, it starts to come back, your focus starts to come back because you've got that end goal that you're trying to get to, and these drivers are going to get there at the end. It's just all about who finishes where when it's all said and done. And wow, Braden Langell, the last little bit, has really been on the move. Where has the speed come from with this Rowdy Energy Toyota?
Great to see out of the 026 Rowdy Energy Super Late Model getting past Ashton Tucker, now charging after Matthew Barkhouse. We saw Tanton Woolridge doing this exact same thing back in the first stage of the race before we hit that first caution. He disappeared for a second, then came back. The old iRacing.
Oh, can't always rely on things to go exactly smooth, but that's okay.
Nope.
But Braden Langell, the Shubenacadie driver, is moving up through this field, now putting pressure to the 15 car, the real challenger to that 15, the first real challenger that we've seen of the 15 all race long. And the 15 is just so good on that outside, but they will continue to run side by side as we approach the halfway point.
Lando's going to try to use that inside to get past the 15 at Barkhouse and finally give us somebody new within the top 2. There's quite the gap there between them and Ashton Tucker, and then Brandon Campbell leading the charge here in 5th place over Mike Rhino, Scott Negus, and Todd Cousins. Again, as you pointed out earlier with Negus, great to see the progress that he's made ever since that recent incident there on the front stretch.
That Parkside Pub 55 has been real strong today. Obviously hasn't had the luck that he would like to have, but even with that little bit of damage, the car is quick, and I think he's going to find himself into the top 5 sooner rather than later. Regan, as we approach the halfway point, let's give yourselves a field rundown here. Caution flag comes out, and that's Craig Weigel in the 11, and that's the 22 car. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Now we might be having a discussion here. Let's see. See what happens here. U-House Racing Designs instant replay. Oh, and where was Nathan Langell going? Okay. That is 3 incidents that he's involved in, but spotter was not clear on that one of the 51. Yeah, it just comes right down in front of him. Really, really unfortunate. I don't think we're gonna put that one on the 22.
I mean, on an angle I was looking at there, you did see the 22 maybe go up a little bit, while at the same time Langell came down, but clearly that's Langell as you said, not sure exactly where he was going. And again, the third incident there for the 22, but I would certainly not put the blame on him on that one. But he certainly had a very eventful Jim Hallahan 333 today, Jesse.
Yes, absolutely. Look at all the rubber coming off the 15 car. Drivers trying to get out of the pits ahead of one another, try and one-up each other as we come back to the restart. Damage on that 22, as we mentioned. Probably some suspension damage on the 52. Okay, well, we've got a break here in the action. We will check back in with Paul Strickland Jr. Paul, this next 100 laps that we're in right now has been a little more calamitous than we've seen so far.
And it's going to get cranked up. It's going to get a little bit spicy around here at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. If you're following along at home with the Wingnut Productions timing and scoring, you can take a look. When these drivers came down pit road, there's the little column there for the stint. A lot of these drivers came down this past lap, so you'll be able to see that number 1 in the column. The cool thing that you'll be able to see is the box time, how long these drivers spent in the box. And you'll see the 55 of Scott Negus. He's got a 8.2 second. Todd Cousins in the 2 car, 8.1 seconds. Tells me those 2 drivers in the top 2 only took 2 tires. So that's going to be interesting. They're going to have a little bit of a cushion with themselves, both taking 2 tires. Everybody in behind, it appears, took 4 tires. So we did talk to Tim Terry before the race. He did make mention that there are 6 sets of tires for the feature down on pit road for each of these teams. And they're going to want tires about after every 10 laps or so, because this place eats rubber like a cheese grater. So going to be interesting. I think things are going to get spicy. Be sure to follow along at home, www.vidane.tv/scoring. Find out where your favorite driver's running right now live.
Ready to head back to the restart now. 162 in the books, just shy of the halfway point, and we've got trouble. Mike Rhino has gone around, coming to the restart, and finds himself backwards. Caution flag comes out. And that's the first bit of bad luck that we've seen out of that 34 car all afternoon.
Paul, you were saying about things ramping up?
Things ramping up in a big way. That's always fun when the drivers make you seem like you know what you're talking about. But there's a big fight feel in the air. All these drivers want to come home with the bragging rights here, coming home with a good points night as well. You can see there just a little bit of a checkup in the field coming to the green. It looks like the worst for wear went to the Mike Rhino machine of the 34, but he's able to get that thing spun around. Gonna have to clean those tires off good and well, because you can see down on the apron and up on the top side, Jesse, you made mention those rubber balls, the marbles all the way around the racetrack. That's definitely going to be affecting the drivers throughout the field here. It's one of the cool things with iRacing is the dynamic tires, the dynamic track surfaces. We pulled up the weather graphic earlier on today. We've got dynamic weather. So just like real life in the simulated world here with iRacing, these drivers have to battle the weather, the heat in the track, the heat in the tires, and they have to make sure that everything kind of lines up perfectly if they're going to want to come home with the checkered flag.
So while we've got another break in the action, coming up on the halfway point of this one, under yellow, we'll run you through a quick field rundown. Scott Negus, courtesy of the pit stops, finds himself position number 1. Todd Cousins to his outside. Tant Woolridge and Mike Alexander, that's the furthest back. The 75 car has been all race long. Matt Barkhouse in 5th, Ashton Tucker in 6th. Craig Weigel up into the 7th spot. I know he was scheduled to go to a hockey game, but if he's got a chance to win this thing, I think he might say screw it to the old knife shoot match, and the 11 car might be one of the dark horses to win this thing when it's all said and done. Braden Langell is 8th, Riley Duncan 9th, Ben Ryan is 10th, Colin Boudreau in the 101 is currently 11th, Mike Rhino being scored at 12th, Doug Murray in the 18 is 14th, or 13th rather. Dave Horton, one of our provisional drivers, is 14th. Brett Byron's had a rough go of it here today. He is 15th. Jason Goss has been in some incidents. He is 16th, along with Chris McKenna in the 35. Brandon Campbell finds himself further back. Not sure what happened there. He is 1 lap down in 18th. First car off the lead lap. Riley Frost, Greg Snellgrove, Tyler Hallahan is 21st. Devin Laffin is 22nd, 2 laps down. Ryan Messer is 2 laps down in 23rd. Then it's Brendan O'Neill in 24th. Nathan Langell, 62 laps down in 25th. And Dylan Black, only scheduled to do 47 laps here today, and he has called it a day a long, long time ago. Good timing on this one. Green flag back in the air. We are past the halfway point of this one. Or we are getting to the halfway point, I should say. It'll be this time by. Kent Woolridge trying to lead that halfway lap. 167 in the books and 166 left to go in the Jim Hallahan 333.
Geez, with Mike Alexander essentially leading every single lap up until that last restart, of course, with Scott Negus taking the lead after some guys decided to take 2 tires instead of 4. It's Tanton Woolridge of all drivers leading at the halfway point ahead of, still in second place, Matthew Barkhouse. I was going to say about Negus, for all the number of times that we've been talking about him here today, I'm wondering if he had like a 3rd year or something. Like hearing us talk about him so much, and then he decides to go ahead and take the lead, but of course just lost it there as Woolridge and Barkhouse made some great runs off of that restart. But it's Negus versus Ashton Tucker for that final podium position, now on lap 171.
171 in the books, 163 left to go. And a little bit of contact there between the 55 and the outside wall. He's going to give up a spot to Mike Alexander. Alexander back into 4th. Of course, you can, not live right now, but usually you can find Mike Alexander on his Twitch channel, Russ_Wheeler, as he does a lot of sim racing in his spare time. Xander Signs, proprietor. Making sure all of his cars look good, any of his customer cars, making them look good. Right now, he is looking good to maybe get back to the front of this field unless he has wore himself out in the first half of this event. 160 left to go in the Jim Hallahan 333.
Top 4 started to pull away from the field. Woolridge with quite the big gap there over the 15 and the 2. Tucker looks underneath Barkhouse for 2nd place. And then the guy that's been leading pretty much all the laps here in this Jim Hallahan 333 up until this recent restart, Mike Alexander looking to make his way back up to the front as we got like almost super speedway style racing in back of Scott Negus and everybody else. And as you were talking about Craig Weigel, how about his effort as he's in the middle about squeezing Negus for that 7th position. Some fantastic racing both up front and in the middle of the pack.
Riley Duncan, this is about the furthest back he's been all day long. That 97 car was one of the hot cars early on. The 97 finds himself maybe at the back end of the top 10, just outside of it, depending on the lap. But there is a big scramble happening here, and I think we're closer to supper than we are breakfast, as the 11 is going to try and put some distance between himself and Negus. Negus is going to hit the wall again, back up the 2 of Cousins.
Up more front. Barkhouse was in the wall. Tucker got into him a little bit as well. Mike Alexander gets the both of them and goes to 2nd place. Now he's got Woolridge to chase after. Lots of action all over the place.
That middle part of the race, you really start to lose your concentration a little bit, and the 26 has tagged the wall pretty severely. Ben Ryan in the 218 has been doing pretty good, and
just put Tucker in the wall.
Regan, things are getting really intense here, and unfortunately the 2 car has found himself at the wrong end of an incident between himself and Matt Barkhouse.
And Tucker, from my perspective here, turned on the voice chat and said something, so it sounds like he wasn't happy about what happened there, as trouble turns 1-2 car upside down. That's Doug Murray.
Trouble with 152 left to go. We got one upside down on the backstretch, and it's the 18 of Doug Murray. And
we were talking about
movement on the wheel.
But we were talking about action all over the place.
Yeah, I think something happened here. We're going to find out here. The 22S of Snellgrove is here. Where did things get jacked up?
Oh, right there. It looks like Got a little bit of a bumpski from the points leader, the 99 of Brandon Campbell, it looks like, sent him on around. And the question of the day came from the Twitch channel. What does it mean when racing gets spicy? You're looking at it.
Yeah, that is that's a glass of milk and a couple of napkins kind of spicy for the 18. And unfortunately, well, gassing it to try and get back on his, on all four, but not working out for the 18 car, unfortunately. Yeah, a little touch there. Good save and just overcorrects it.
That is not a good sound to listen to, not a good view from either the real racing standpoint or the sim racing. You never want to see pavement right outside the windshield. There you can see he's just cranking on it right, a little bit too much, and gets that couple of bumps there from the drivers in behind, and just metal on concrete, not the most favorite sound in the world. You can see he's going to park that thing down on pit road, maybe let the virtual crews work on that thing, try and get some of that sheet metal squared away.
And for fans watching and tuning in that maybe don't have their own wheels and setups to go sim racing, some of these guys have direct drive wheels. And in an incident like that, that wheel's going to spin in your hand pretty fast. And you got to be careful not to have your thumbs and fingers in the wrong spot to maybe get an injury while you're racing. So an incident like that is, obviously you can reset and get back going, but you got to be real careful when the wheel corrects that way.
That's the difference between the chainsaw grip and the dirt bike grip. You want to tuck your thumb on the chainsaw to make sure you're holding on to it, but when you're holding that steering wheel, you got to make sure that thumb's going horizontal, because like you said, Kevin Harvick alluded to it in the Cup race this year, and I was excited to see him do it. One of the drivers holding onto the wheel like that kind of ripped their thumb, not off, but definitely did some damage to it. And you can do that with a direct drive wheel here in the sim racing world as we come to green. Jesse?
Canton Woolridge in the 56, Mike Alexander the 75, green flag back in the air, and Woolridge already with a car length over the 75. You'll notice when he came to the green, he made sure to get up to the top groove and really block off any run that the 75 could have had, which was smart racing from Canton Woolridge. Long way to go, though. 147 left to go. We'll see if he can hold on to what he's got. How about Craig Weigel here? Weigel scheduled to be a start and park in this race, and the 11 car has really had a great run of it so far. He's been in just about every battle that's been on the racetrack, but the 11 looks to the outside, little kiss to the wall. Regan, Craig Weigel is having himself an afternoon.
Contact there with Riley Duncan down the front stretch into one. Duncan slides back. Weigel maintains himself in front, but yes, as you were talking about with him originally coming into this race, intended to start and park, but there are some times where drivers go into a race with a completely different mindset, but as the race progresses, and if they're doing well, they'll start to realize that, and they'll be like, maybe I should actually give this a shot. Maybe I should keep this going, see where it takes me, and hope for the best. And Craig Weigel has certainly put himself in a position for just that.
Drivers trying to space themselves out a little bit. Ryan Messer, you can see 20th on the grid. He's passed just about everybody in this field a couple of times today, but some internet issues, it sounds like, keeping him 2 laps down at the moment. And a lot of this race has gone by, and he hasn't really made progress on that lap count. So unfortunately, this might not be the afternoon that Ryan Messer was hoping to have. Tyler Hallahan as well, and Brandon Campbell, some guys who were having some good runs in the first 100 laps of this race, don't find themselves in as good a spot as they were earlier on.
Looking to try and get back at Weigel here for that 6th position, and Weigel right in behind Ben Ryan and Braden Langell, both going at it for top 5 positions. And some close quarter action here in behind the top 3 is Woolridge, Alexander, and Barkhouse trying to get away from the rest of the field. A lot of it double file action with under 140 laps to go. That last restart that we had there was at about the length of a, your your regular Pro Stock Tour, Super Late Model Series race, 150 laps. We've gone beyond that point now, and Jesse, perhaps a good thing that we may have passed halfway before we had that big crash so far.
Absolutely. Coming up on the 200 lap mark in a few laps time. It's getting hairy for a couple of drivers here. Riley Duncan, nowhere really to go. Mike Rhino was spun on a restart. Things got jacked up in front of him. And does the 34 still have enough speed to get back towards the front of the field? The 35 has been in a couple of incidents here today. Winner of the last chance race, Chris McKenna. And right now he's knocking on the door of the top 10. This battle outside of the top 10 is getting really intense for a couple of these drivers. Past the 200 lap mark, 133 left to go in the Jim Hallahan 333. It is a marathon day, but you know, we do it to honor one of the sports legends. Of course, Jim Hallahan was he had a big presence in this sport and a really passionate man about this sport, and we certainly miss him, and we honor him each and every year with the Jim Hallahan 333.
You were saying about things getting intense in back of the top 10. It looks like Weagle just had a couple of issues there, getting into the wall a couple of times. But again, to your point, yes, it's always a pleasure to have a race, whether it's in real life or on the iRacing platform, where we get to honor a true legend in Canadian motorsports, obviously here in the Maritimes, like for example the Mike Stevens Memorial at Petty International Raceway, and plenty of other races as well. So
trouble a little further back. Sorry to cut you off there, but the 26 of Braden Langell he's had a big incident with the wall. He is 13th at the moment, and I'm sure the suspension on that car is not where he wants it to be.
Yeah, no, Walrow there into turn 1 got up in the marbles, and he has dropped all the way back to 13th. So very unfortunate for him there.
128 laps left to go. Chris McKenna here in the 35, currently 6th on the racetrack. Started deep in this field after winning the last chance race. Now he's underneath the Todd Cousins in the 2. And Ben Ryan in the 218. It's a 3-car battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. What a run for that trio of drivers.
Absolutely, especially with those 2 incidents that we had between Brett Byron and Chris McKenna. McKenna in 6th place, looking to get himself into the top 5 here with under 130 laps to go. What a resurgence it's been for the number 35 as he looks underneath Todd Cousins for a top 5 position, and eventually might look underneath Ben Ryan as well. Top 3 are once again really gapping themselves ahead of the field. Alexander still trying to charge after Woolridge, but not a whole lot going on at the moment. Still some time, but of course this race has been winding down pretty quickly for the most part.
Closing in on 100 laps left to go. We've got a little bit to get there. From a driver's mentality, Regan, a little bit of contact there between Cousins and Chris McKenna, but imagine you're somebody in this battle like, you know, the 97 or the 55, and you're watching somebody with damage like the 35 kind of gap you and pull you away or pull away from you. You know, what does that do for your psyche?
Well, it might mess around with you a little bit. It might cause you to get a little bit desperate because, again, you see that damage and you think they should be slower than you, but then there's you where you haven't been going through anything all race. So, again, it's not always about the cars, too. It's about the drivers and how they can wheel the cars. Like, if a driver can wheel a damaged car pretty well, then that just goes to show the talent, the skills that the driver has. And Chris McKenna has really been proving that. He's been one of those, again, kind of those drivers, you know, coming back and forth throughout this race. You have your early guys, you'll have your guys in the middle that do well, and then some of your late bloomers, and it looks like Chris McKenna is trying to prove that here. Again, 120 and 19 so laps to go.
The amazing thing about this race, 215 laps into this, we only have 2 cars that are currently out of this race completely. And that's Greg Snellgrove and the 08 of Dylan Black, who's currently last. Everyone else, the other 24 cars, still out on the racetrack. Only a couple are 1 to 2 laps down. You've got a Devin Laffin is 7 laps down, and everyone else north of 25 laps down. But it's very, very impressive to see how many people are still in this fight.
Especially with how past Jim Hallahan 333s like gone and some other TCM special event series races. This certainly is quite the milestone. Again, though, there's still time for things to happen. We still have almost 115 laps to go. It's the ending where truly everything is going to matter, especially if we get a late race caution. But yes, for how far we've come here with, obviously there's been some big incidents, but for the most part, for I'd say about 90% of this race thus far, we, well, as I say that, caution. Ashton Tucker? No? Yes?
Oh, yeah, a couple of drivers have got together. Yeah, Tucker.
Oh, yeah, backstretch. Ooh.
Let's find out here. We'll see in the restart here. That's Tyler Hallahan. Pro Stock Tour competitor. Driving the famous Hugger colors. Something happened here. Something got jacked up.
And the Waldman down.
Oh, just an innocent bystander on that one with the 101. Colin Boudreau.
Now, I said late race caution. It depends on how you interpret late race, but still, I suppose the commentator's jinx did happen there.
Oh, we got pit stops here. This is going to really turn things around. This is going to make it exciting. We've got live timing here for the pit stops. Let's see who's going to take 4 tires, tank of fuel to get to the end. Oh, and Barkhouse is going to get out ahead of the 56. Maybe a 2-tire stop. Scott Negus is going to get out. Riley Duncan's going to get out ahead of a couple of our lead lap cars and our drivers that have been up front, I should say.
It wasn't a Tanton Woolridge that on one of those restarts there after drivers came down for pit stops. I took 2 tires and he was able to lead many laps ahead of Mike Alexander and Matthew Barkhouse.
I believe so. So now the tables have turned a little bit, and after being 2nd to 4th all race long, looks like Matt Barkhouse is going to lead this thing for the first time this afternoon with 112 left to go.
Yeah, the term I've been trying to think about now I have it, comers and goers. We've been seeing a lot of those throughout this 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333, and to see Barkhouse finally here up front. And just knowing, like, again, we talk about mentality and just how drivers are feeling as the race is going on. Like Mike Alexander for that entire first half of the race, leading every single lap, he was pacing himself just fine. But now he's been challenged to try and get back at some of these comers and goers here later on in this racing. And now with 111 laps to go, I wonder if it's gonna maybe get in his mind a little bit to try and make things happen a little bit better. Maybe I said earlier, desperation. It could come to play too.
That graphic that you see on the bottom corner of your screen is really impressive right now. Scott Negus up 17 spots from where you started in this event. Todd Cousins up 12. Dave Horton took a provisional to make his way into this race, 10 spots. Craig Weigel up 9 spots. Very, very exciting and very impressive for the 55, who's currently scored as the leader. He's going to find himself on the outside of the front row. I think the lights should be out this time for the pace car, and lights are out. Regan, 110 left to go. What are we going to see at the end of this one?
This could very well be the restart that determines the finish to this race. We've seen multiple restarts earlier on in the race, but this one with 109 laps to go, this could very well be the one that decides who is going to be going to victory lane in the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333. Matthew Barkhouse was in 2nd for quite some time in the first half. Now he has a chance to pioneer the field of green on the inside. Scott Negus being a hard charger. And Riley Duncan trying to make something happen. Tan Woolward still up front. Braden Langell looking for some redemption too after some stuff earlier. Green flag flies.
Top 5 really gapped the rest of the field on that one, making sure to get away from everybody. And Riley Duncan, has he made the right adjustments to get back up towards the front of this field? Negus is going to drop back I think maybe the gamble he took on pit road is not paying off for him. Matt Barkhouse leads, Mike Alexander third, and hunting down Riley Duncan in that 97 car. 107 left to go as they come across the stripe.
There's a car on the wall towards the back of the field and around on the front stretch. That's Dave Horton. It looks like we stay green, but yes, talking about Riley Duncan, what a surge, what a hell of a restart by him. He's going to look underneath Barkhouse for that first place position, about squeezing him up. Has to drop him back. Again, those inside dives can really be difficult on the cars and those tires, but there have been drivers that have been able to take advantage and be able to wheel them around just fine. Again, Tanton Woolridge being one of those examples. Again, what a great run by the number 97 Easy Clean Pressure Systems super late model.
It's the lateral slide that you do when you dive into the corner, and you know, all the tires kind of slide a little bit the same way. Really scrubs all the speed that you thought you would have had off the corner. And right now, that is, I think Riley Duncan has learned his lesson a little bit. He is back into the second spot. Tanton Woolridge in the 56 is currently 5th. How about Ben Ryan? Currently 4th on the grid right now. Ben has had a great afternoon, kept his nose clean. Now looks to the inside of Mike Alexander and contact.
Big
and we will
save,
keep
though.
going, and caution flag does come out. And Mike Alexander is not going to be happy about that one.
Yet another incident where you have a car about halfway around, and then they somehow get it back going straight. That could... It's another incident where things could have been a lot worse, and yet they weren't.
It's just a testament to the skill of these drivers. Let's have a look here at the replay presented by U-House Racing Designs. Ben Ryan dives it into the inside, and he was just not clear. Just simple as that. Not clear on the 75. Maybe older tires. Nothing he could have done, and unfortunately that is gonna put a damper on the race of the 75, who led probably close to 160 laps in this race early on, but has not been able to find his way back to the front with 100 left to go.
Better than 2/3 of this one in the books. You made mention 100 laps to go in the Jim Hallahan 333. Got to thank everybody for tuning in here on a Sunday afternoon. It's not very often we go live here on Sunday afternoon here at VidaneTV, so we appreciate everybody tuning on in. Just taking a quick peek over here on the 6th or 7th monitor we've got hooked up here at the VidaneTV HQ. We got a little football going on this afternoon. Everything getting close to the second halves of most of the games. Panthers up over the Falcons so far 17-10. Texans over the Titans 13-3. The Giants, they're struggling. They're at halftime. They're down 10-0 by the Eagles. The Jaguars are trailing the Colts 17-13. Cowboys and Commanders tight game 6-3 there. Packers are trailing the Bears 14-10. Saints are up over the Buccaneers 13-6, and the Bills, well, they got a little bit of work to do to get those Patriots, but they still have 15 seconds in the first half. 14-10 Patriots right now. So thanks again for everybody tuning in here tonight. We've got a whole bunch of racing still coming up. 99 laps to go. Going to get this restart here, Jesse, with probably about 97, 96 laps to go here at Bristol.
Look, Paul, as an American, I understand. Football is important. Well, what I want to know is what's your wing order going to be when you head to Buffalo Wild Wings? What are you going to get?
So we usually do a like a 6 or a 10 on the wings, and it's usually like a mango habanero because I like it spicy, but it's got to be flavorful. I'm not going to do the spice just for the heck of the spice. And then we usually go down with a buffalo chicken wrap because they are the same every Buffalo Wild Wings you go to, and some sweet potato fries. Got to get down with those sweet potato fries.
98 laps left to go, and now I'm hungry. Great. All right. Let's see if we can get this thing in the books.
Where's that hot dog stand?
333. Where is that hot dog stand? Somebody tell me. We'll find it after the race. All righty. Green flag back in the air, and we are racing once again as Riley Duncan tried to put the block on the 56 of Tanton Woolridge and could not do it. And Woolridge now to the inside of Duncan.
Barkhouse leading the charge once again, side by side, the 97 and the 56 at the line. Gives second place to Duncan. There's Scott Negus, Mike Alexander going at it for those 2 final spots inside the top 5. Brandon Campbell, I believe, just smacked the outside wall there coming off of turn number 2, but we keep going just fine. And Jesse, you're saying you're hungry now. I'm certainly hungry for some even more competitive action here and for hopefully a fantastic finish to this 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333.
I can't believe the speed out of that 75 car.
Car round. Tyler Hallahan. There's cars up in the air. Hallahan's upside down.
Trouble, and Hallahan rolls back onto his wheels. Caution flag definitely comes out, but let's have a look here.
Big bada boom, as it looked like. We'll take a peek at it there. You can see already a little bit of damage there on the 33. Campbell up to the outside wall. It looks like Tyler checked up just a little bit to kind of take a peek to see what was going on with the 99 car. And
how about the 50-50 rail grind out of the, I believe that 58 car. Let's have a look here as he comes in. The old Brent Roy special, slide up over the nose of somebody. Man, oh man. The 33 finds himself up and over and back on his wheels. His bell has been rung.
That's one of those wrecks. Even in the sim, you got to take your hands off the wheel and take a deep breath, because holy cow, that was large.
You asked Jordan Taylor. He tipped over a sim rig, flipping over a Monza one night.
Oh no!
Things can happen, and that was a full triple monitor, you know, basically half a race car sim rig. Oh goodness! Oh boy! Close your eyes.
I definitely wasn't expecting Dave Horton to come from behind and then just kind of a pile drive and then upside down. Wild ride for the 33 of Tyler Hallahan. 92
and that's one of
laps
those.
to go.
That's one of those things that, especially here at Bristol and these cars, the combination of it, things just happen so fast, and there's no way to get on the binders without either piling into somebody, unless you're really lucky, or just, you know, ending up with the fuel cell tickling your bits, you know?
Such a short track within a Coliseum, the great Coliseum as they call it here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Your instincts really have to be like dialed in and on par, especially in these late stages of this race. We'll be coming to, I assume it's 90 laps to go on this restart, or 89, either one.
Okay, we have a development here with 91 laps to go. Ryan Messer's on the lead lap and in 9th.
Oh boy.
Oh boy to the rest of the field?
Yeah, sure.
Oh boy. Craig Weigel is 7th. Ashton Tucker's back in the top 5. This is not over yet. Green flag back in the air with about 90 laps left to go. And man, this is real interesting. 90 laps was about the fuel load that these cars can take. If this stays green, they might be able to gasp it for air coming to the checkers. But if that's the case, this is going to be really interesting for some of these cars.
I think Duncan might have spun the tires a little bit on that restart, but he's able to keep himself up front and in second place. Scott Negus up the hill a little bit through turns 2, as he's got a whole lot of cars in behind him looking to get into the top 4. Ashton Tucker looking to make his way back up after some recent issues on his end. Then Ryan Messer right in behind all that chaos.
How do you think Craig Weigel's feeling right now? Looking in the mirror, looking in the windshield, wondering if he should have just gone to the Mooseheads game?
Oh, it was a Mooseheads game. That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's either having fun or he wishes he was in the nosebleeds right now with the beer and popcorn. Hard to say with old Weigel.
Certainly still time to make something happen here in these final 85 laps of the Jim Hallahan 333. Matthew Barkhouse still hanging on to that lead. Riley Duncan in behind him, looking to find some way past him, along with Tim Woolridge. You got a bunch of cars in behind. Oh, there goes Brandon Campbell.
There goes Brandon Campbell.
Oh, Tucker got hit from behind. Weigel overcorrects it. Big pile up backstretch into turn 3. You were saying about Weigel?
Now he's probably wondering where his car keys are. He's probably thinking, I'm just going to park this thing now. All right, let's have a look here. Instant replay presented by U-House Racing Designs. Paul Strickland Jr. at the controls. Brandon Campbell has been in the wall a handful of times today, and that's one of those things where I think he just followed what the 52 was doing, kind of like George Russell a couple of years ago in the F1 race at Singapore. Just followed him up into the wall, didn't mean to do it, and things got jacked up.
I think Weagle might have headed safe there after all the contact around him and into him, but then that final overcorrection just didn't work out. And yeah, there's Ryan Messer. How about that, getting past all that carnage?
Unbelievable driving from some of these competitors.
Sir.
If you're watching this and you're not on iRacing, probably think about it. Maybe think about it. Look around, see if you can get one of these free trials. These guys are having fun.
Now to those tuning in, if you have any friends or family not watching, get them in here.
80 laps left to go as we roll around under caution. And this is probably going to save the fuel load of a couple of cars. I wish I had that information, but I think... I imagine they're probably better than I think they are, but there might be somebody out there who's running real dry.
Well, it's getting close. If you're following along at home with the Wingnut Productions timing and scoring, you made mention fuel windows, and I started looking. It's going to be tight. A lot of these guys up in the top 5, matter of fact, everybody in the top 5 came down 32 laps to go, and they've got 81 to go, so they're about 20 laps shy. But Braden Langell, Ryan Messer, they came down 18, 19 laps ago. They got a little bit of a leeway there. They might be okay, depending on how the caution flags fly. They're going to be screaming for tires here in about 20 laps. But just taking a peek at it, Mike Rhino, the 34 car, he came down 12 laps ago. And then you've got a handful of drivers that just came down. Chris McKenna, Brandon Campbell, Weagle, Ben Ryan, they all just came down. They're definitely good to get that 90-lap fuel window, and they might even be good for a green-white checkered. So if this thing goes green long all the way to the checkered flag, we may have a fuel mileage race on our hands.
That'll be very, very interesting. You don't see that too often with these super late model races. And out of 4 one more time, 79 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Matt Barkhouse continues to lead. 254 in the books. Tanner Woolridge back on the charge. And now Riley Duncan's going to look to the inside. And the easy clean, number 97, low to the ground, built for speed and running down these top 2, trying to get as far up to the front as he can. But just doesn't have the drive off the corner.
And look at this, back towards 4th place, battling a Scott Negus up high. It's down low. Ryan Messer back on the lead lap. Some contact in behind him, but everybody keeps going.
Good save out of Mike Rhino there. That could have been calamity.
But man, oh man, if Ryan Messer were to come out of this with a victory, what a storyline that would be. He is right there. As he can clear Negus at some point, he'll have Duncan, Woolridge, and Barkhouse right in front of him to duke it out for the Jim Hallahan 333 win.
Reminder, he was 3 laps down at one point. For a lot of this race, he was 3 laps down and has found himself, maybe through wave rounds, through lucky dogs, through sheer luck, whatever it's taken, Ryan Messer up into the top 5 and on the lead lap.
The one just hasn't been able to clear Negus just yet. You can see the top 3 are really hogging that high side. Messer staying down low to continue duking it out here with the 55. Duncan a little bit more to the middle lane. Messer still can't find a way fully past Scott Negus. But again, all good signs that he is still up there. Again, after you said being 3 laps down, that's all that matters. Just stay up there, try to avoid contact, and, you know, we're approaching 70 laps to go. Still time to make things happen.
Mike Alexander, who had this race dominated in the first half of this event, is now 10 laps down on pit road. I don't think he's going to see the checkered flag in this one. Nope, he is... he's trying to find the hot dog line, as it were. I think he's done for the day. So this race is probably somewhere within that top 5, if we're being honest.
Barkhouse has been leading the way ever since, of course, that restart whenever he was able to get the lead over Tanton Woolridge. But again, it could be any one of these top 5, 6, 7 guys that could come away with the victory here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Oh, trouble in the back. Ashton Tucker looks to be involved.
And Brendan Campbell destroyed in that 99 car. And Dave Horton nowhere to go. And I think the 99 is going to call it a day. Let's have a look at the replay here. Tag the wall just where it juts out a little bit, that safer barrier. And Ashton Tucker, I'm sure, is not happy with how this race has gone. Obviously, never give up, as we've seen, but
one of those
that
drivers
might be the end of the day for the 99.
One of those drivers that has certainly experienced a roller coaster here in today's Jim Hallahan 333. And yeah, Campbell just up the track outside wall, not able to keep it straight, and then goes down. And Ashton Tucker, unfortunately, becomes a victim. And then Dave Horton right into the driver's side, had nowhere to go. And we got a lot of cars here on pit road. And once again, Matthew Barkhouse comes out first ahead of Riley Duncan and Tanton Woolridge.
Brayden Langell currently finds himself at the top of the scoring pylon. 267 laps in the book, still 67 left to go. That's not going to last long. Look at the damage on the back end of the 26 car. Does he have the speed to hold off the rest of this field? I'm just not sure anymore. Anything can happen in these races, and it seems to have happened. So,
I mean, remember when Chris McKenna was running up front, and we saw that damage he had on the front end of his car. He was running up towards the top 5. He's back to 16th. Now, maybe Brayden Langell becomes the new Chris McKenna for these late stages of the Jim Hallahan 333.
Matt Barkhouse and Riley Duncan and Tanton Woolridge back into the top 5. Now I'm starting to think the race might be between those 3. Mike Rhino's been good, but I just don't know if he's good enough to beat those 3 in behind him. They've been really, really strong today.
Of course, Ryan Messer and Scott Negas continue to battle each other. It's just a matter of if one of them can get clear of each other and make a run up towards those 3 guys in particular up front, or I guess now you can throw Langell and Reno into the mix as well. If Messer can at least get ahead of Negas and maybe Todd Cousins as well, then do not count him out either. I wouldn't even count out Scott Negas either. And Ashton Tucker, funny enough, is still up there too.
Yeah, Tucker's back to 10th. But I think after being in a handful of incidents, the mentality might be shook a little bit on the 2 car. We'll see, though. We'll see what Ashton Tucker can do with just over 60 laps left to go, 64 to go. Matt Barkhouse, as he's done all race long, back to the front of the field. And the best thing for Matt Barkhouse right now is to gap these drivers.
And easily ahead of Langell into the wall, gets hit from behind, multiple cars up into the outside wall. In turn 3, we stay green. And funny enough, because of those 2 guys being up there, Ryan Messer took advantage to get ahead of Negas and Riley Duncan. Now he's got Tanton Woolridge and Matthew Barkhouse ahead of him. These 3 guys are now going to battle it out. 61 laps to go.
And about 15 seconds a lap, maybe 14.5 seconds a lap. 4 laps a minute. We're probably about 15 minutes away from the end of this one. If you got to get a refill on your snacks or your drinks or whatever you've got when you tune in, be sure to do so right now and come back for the finish of this one. These top 3, and the top 4 rather, are really putting on a show. Scott Negas up into the wall, and Riley Frost knocking on the door of the top 5 once again. Frost has been in a couple of incidents, but at this point, who hasn't in this race? Barkhouse leads about 1/4 of a second over Tanton Woolridge, and back to the one of Ryan Messer. A 4-car train towards the front of this field with 57 laps to go as the 15 comes across the line.
We're about to catch Ashton Tucker and put him a lap down. Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Oh, is he not happy with the 15 car? That was maybe a little bit of aggressive driving, maybe just trying to get out of the way with the way that car is handled, but the way he came down the track leaves some questions.
Some displeasure shown right there for sure. But Barkhouse continues to lead just fine. He's got 5 cars chasing after him for the Jim Hallahan 333 lead. Todd Cousins down onto the apron. Brett Byron's down there as well. Looks like Byron's trying to get back up onto the racing surface.
Tyler Hallahan going for a slide. We stay green with the 33 car. He will make his way back out onto the racetrack. Attrition now is playing a factor very, very quickly in this event.
One other thing I was going to say earlier too is that it looked like Barkhouse did say something in the voice chats, so definitely had something to say for Tucker after that close call there, putting him a lap down. They're not going to get Hallahan another lap down. He goes down to the apron again, 4-5 car train, and then you got Riley Frost back there looking to join the mix here in just a little bit. But things have calmed down just a little bit here up front. Well, as I say that, Woolridge might be looking to dive underneath for the race lead.
50 laps left to go in the Jim Hallahan 333. 2021, your winner was John Fitzpatrick from Prince Edward Island. 2022, it was Noel Fagier from Nova Scotia. Big Orange, Ryan Messer took the win 2 years ago. And we had our first American winner 1 year ago, Blake Thronberg from the great state of North Carolina, taking the win. Today, looks like we're going to see a new winner, but Ryan Messer is there trying to win this thing for the second time. Under 50 to go. And does Woolridge have enough in the tank to get around the 15 car? Matt Barkhouse, for anyone in this field, Matt Barkhouse has been pretty well bulletproof with the R&R Kinsman Xander Sainz Ford. 4 cars continue to be in a battle. Your top 4 are Barkhouse, Woolridge, Messer, and Riley Duncan in the 97.
Of course, looking at that top 4 in particular, Messer and Duncan both have wins on the TCM Special Events 24-25 Series season. Duncan winning back at Lima Land, however you say that, back on November 28th. Ryan Messer with back-to-back victories, Legends at South Boston, and then the late model stock, I believe it was, at Hickory Motor Speedway between November and December. And then Barkhouse and Woolridge still have yet to pick up a victory this season. And as you said, Messer looking for that second Jim Hallahan 33 win within 3 years. As Messer looks down low on Woolridge, Woolridge has begun to join Barkhouse in hogging the high side.
Messer's got to let themselves tire each other out. See if he can't get them to slip up and make his way through. He's been really good today at wreck avoidance. Wrecks he hasn't been in completely, but man, Tanner Woolridge is putting the pressure on the 15 car, and we got lap traffic now as Ben Ryan, who was up in the top 5 probably 50 laps ago, is now about to go a lap down. He is the last car on the lead lap in 13th. He'll let the leaders go. Messer has made its way up to second. It'll be 40 laps to go in the Jim Hallahan 333, this time across the stripe for Matt Barkhouse.
Messer is picking each car one by one. He got by Woolridge, and now he's got Matthew Barkhouse ahead of him for the lead in the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333. One driver looking for their first 333 win ever, and then also looking for that first win this season. Messer looking to make it 3 on the year. Woolridge still with 0. Duncan looking for his second. Oh man, lots of lap traffic right here. Tucker and oh boy, they split.
Thread the needle 4 wide.
Oh man.
And contact!
Oh,
And it's
Barkhouse.
Barkhouse in the wall. Oh, 38 left to go, 295 in the books, and Matt Barkhouse is destroyed.
I have no words.
Yeah, we got to look at this replay. The 2 and the 75, multiple laps down, contact, tempers flare. And that one is just, Messer got a run on the 15 car. It really had nothing to do with the incident ahead of him. But let's have a look here.
I'm going to back this one up just a little bit. You can see the two cars not happy with the 15 and the 75, and I think that's a lot of what this was. You can see the 2 just kind of turns right up into the 75 in front of the leaders once again. And there you can see the wreck. Riley Duncan, unfortunately, involved. Frost having a great run here tonight in the 52 car. That's a tough call, and I hate to make the call, but I think that's going to be the bonehead move of the race. The number 2 of Ashton Tucker.
He has been disqualified.
Good.
That is really unfortunate for Ashton Tucker.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when you have a race like this, as big of a race like this, 5th annual like that, and fantastic showing. 300 plus laps, or getting up to that 300 lap marker, and then to have something dumb like that. It's unfortunate, but some folks, different strokes for different folks, I suppose. We'll watch it again.
Yeah, I think we could just chalk that up to tempers flare. That's the best I can do.
Wondering if Matthew Barkhouse and Ryan Messer was like a bit of a panic moment right there, because of course when the 2 and the 75 got together, caution came out, and then just wrong places at the wrong times, especially for Barkhouse. When we eventually get an angle of what happened between those 2 after the 2 and the 75, yeah, there we go.
How about a 4 wide thread the needle move for the 1 car? Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out for him.
Yeah, that's one of those things you see the contact here between the 2 and the 1, and Messer was just doing everything he can to hold that thing straight. A little bit of a slide from him. The 15 was still trying to recorrect, and unfortunately those guys just found themselves in the same spot on the racetrack. Big hit for the 58, my goodness. That's what popped the motor in the 15 after leading almost all the laps. Bonehead move of the race. Unfortunately, the 15 out of it. You can see he's down on pit road.
And we've got lights out on the pace car. I'm sure after the race maybe we'll get Tim Terry in here just to kind of confirm the calls, but it looks like Ashton Tucker is done for the day. Brandon Campbell's another car that's done for the day. He's been done for a little while after his incident, but okay, Scott Negus and Jason Goss on the front row now, and a green flag back in the air with about 33 left to go in the Jim Hallahan 333.
Would you look at this? It's Scott Negus versus Tanton Woolridge for that top position, coming to 32 laps to go. And now with essentially the race's top 2 drivers now out, and Mike Alexander and Matthew Barkhouse, it's now going to be between these 2 superstars here within Maritime Racing, Tanton Woolridge and Ryan Messer. And then, trouble in back. Yep.
Chris McKenna has gone around. He tagged the wall and got jacked up.
Ooh.
And the 18 car finds himself with a little bit of damage as well.
Good run for so far for that 35 car. Tough break for McKenna, but getting into this one, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. These drivers know they have to get going. That wall, just like glue in that safer barrier, unfortunately. Oh, there's that big hit. Sent I believe that was the rear bumper cover, and then another tag there as well. So it's going to be tough. It looks like the 35 is going to try and stay out. They're going to restart in 11th, as it looks. Just came down pit road under that last caution. So we'll see if the 35 car can make it back into the top 10.
Yeah, we'll try to get a full field rundown here at the moment. 304 laps in the books, 305 as Tanton Woolridge just crossed the line. He is position number 1. Ryan Messer is 2nd. Scott Negus is 3rd. Jason Goss, haven't talked a lot about the 41 car today, but he's up in the top 5. Riley Duncan in the 5th spot. Braden Langell, Riley Frost, Colin Boudreau, Ben Ryan, and Mike Rhino, your top 10. Chris McKenna Just involved in that incident, currently 11th. Craig Weigel is 12th. Brett Byron has kept his nose clean for the last 200 laps or so. He is 13th. Todd Cousins, 14th, 9 laps down. Matt Barkhouse currently scored 15th, 9 laps down. Dave Horton is 19 laps down in 17th. Tyler Hallahan, 28 laps down in 18th. And then Mike Alexander, 47 laps down in currently 20th at the moment, but he's going to jump ahead of Brandon Campbell. Brendan O'Neill, 52 laps down. And then Doug Murray, 100 laps down. And Nathan Langell still in this one, albeit 202 laps off the pace.
Only 12 cars left on the lead lap.
28 laps left to go, Regan. I can't even predict what will happen anymore.
Yeah, I had that gut feeling. I just knew it was inevitable that we were eventually, after everything that had been happening throughout the race, we had a couple small incidents, but some really solid racing. Most of the field still left, but now, within these final, 50, 60 laps or so, now with only, just over 10 cars left on the lead lap and just all this late race carnage, I just had a feeling it was going to happen, but now it's really... It's going to ramp up even more now. Again, only Woolridge, Messer, Negus, Riley Duncan, Braden Langell somehow still up there. I'm kind of getting the vibes of the 2022 Coca-Cola 600.
You'll have to remind me. I'm not much of a NASCAR fan these days.
The Danny Hamlin win, the Chris Buescher flip, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, that big one.
Oh,
on
yes.
That start the 4 wide with Austin Dillon.
Now I remember. Green flag back in the air. We have 27 laps left to go. And Jim Hallahan, 333. And there goes Jason Goss on the backstretch.
Golly.
Destroyed the 18 car.
Big time problems with that motor and everything else that was supposed to be attached to that 18 car. My goodness, that was violent.
What a hit. And it's one of those things, again, where somebody hits the outside wall and jacks it up and nowhere to go. Let's have a look here. Keep an eye on that 41. Goss. Nowhere to go. Up on 2 wheels for Todd Cousins.
18 just threw it in there.
It just, yeah, Hail Mary. Trying to make the move work, and wow, what happened there?
Gosh.
Was there a parts failure? Maybe with a set of pedals? Or really thought he could just gun it through there?
If you think of sending it, I guess that's one way to do it.
Okay. Is there anyone left in this race? We have 11 cars on the lead lap right now.
It feels like the first 300 laps or so were just so too good to be true.
I feel bad for race control.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're having to have some difficult conversations right now.
I mean, we could say Caden Tufts left and then everything happened. We could say that.
He might have been right to get out of this. He didn't have to watch this. He might have been good. Okay. 23 left to go. The Jim Hallahan 333 was really good for about 200 laps. And now it's Monster Jam World Finals, it seems to be, in these final 130 or so laps. I'm just calling it like I see it. That's
same.
That's what we do here at VidaneTV. Lights off, paired up, 2x2, all the way through 22 laps to go, and you can still feel it. This is a big fight. Dan Woolridge down on the bottom side, Ryan Messer. These guys know each other better than any other two pair of sim racers I've ever seen in my entire racing career. This is going to be a blast for the final 21 laps.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I don't know if that's the word I would say. All right, green flag in the air. Hopefully, the final restart of this race. Tant Woolridge has checked out. Ryan Messer has checked out. It's a two-car battle now up front. Riley Duncan got some damage there a couple of incidents ago, so not to discredit him, but they've already gapped the rest of the field pretty easily. I would say this is a two-car battle. 20 left to go in the Jim Hallahan 333.
And Duncan looking up high here on Scott Negus for third place. The 97 looks to clear on the outside. Oh, a big dive in by Chris McKenna. 3 wide. Negus gets split in the middle. He got into the 52. They keep it going. Here comes Craig Weigel.
Hold on to your trousers. Look out, look out, Negus. And Negus back around. Keep her going, keep her going. Caution out. Okay. Well, not to take anything away from you, Paul, but I don't know if this is going to be much of a replay. He was getting bounced around. He was getting pinballed pretty hard.
Calamity ensues. How about this move by Weigel? Almost, wow, made it work. The 55 just unfortunately ran into the outside wall there, the safer barrier. Just like glue, it grabs that right side of the car and just holds on to it. 17 to go. We'll get the restart. Looks like maybe 15 laps to go. Maybe 14. We'll see what Bubbles in the flag stand says.
317 laps in the books. And for super late models, you know, unless you're the Winchester 400 or the All-American, you don't see it this often. Craig Weigel might be primed for a podium finish here. Depending on what happens, that 11 car might find himself with a bit of virtual hardware at the end of it.
These last couple of restarts, the 56 and the 1 have been getting away from the rest of the field, and it's just caution after caution after caution. I mean, obviously the laps are winding down, but I can only imagine those two drivers up front just, for once, want to be able to race their way to the checkered flag and be able to put on a spirited battle. Although, well, spirited is probably not the best word to say or put anything.
Yeah.
Knowing what's happened.
Not to tell these drivers how to race, but I would almost tell them to, you know, stay off the top of the racetrack. I know there's like a natural groove to get around here, but if you can bring the fight for the win to the bottom of the track, maybe it gives you room to get around this place. 9 cars left on the lead lap. Braden Langell currently the first car 1 lap down in 10th. And we're going to get them doubled up. Tant Woolridge on the inside, Ryan Messer on the outside, Riley Duncan, 35 of Chris McKenna, Mike Rhino, and Craig Weigel, your first 3 rows.
Chris McKenna, Craig Weigel, Scott Negus is still within the mix. There's a couple lap cars in between as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it could literally be anybody. You said Weigel for a podium finish. You know what? For the win, sure.
Rolling through 3 and 4 one more time. 14 left to go. It'll be 13 at the line. Green flag is out. 320 laps in the books. For goodness sake, let's get to the end of this one. And Woolridge is going to stick to the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Craig McKenna, or Chris McKenna, underneath of Ryan Messer. Now Woolridge is going to a little touch there for Messer. Has he run out of tires in that 1 car? Has he run out of patience? And Chris McKenna has been involved in about 4 incidents today. and now has a chance to take the lead with 10 laps to go in the Jim Hallahan 333. He's just got to get around one of the toughest cars in the field to do so. Side-by-side battle,
in the wall.
and there goes Woolridge up into the wall. Chris McKenna from the last chance race trying to do it Mike Rowe style at the Oxford 250 and go from the last chance to the race win. He's got 2 or 3 car lengths between himself and the rest of the field. It's a battle for second. Chris McKenna continues to lead. 8 laps left to go.
This is his first feature start of the 2024-25 TCM Special Events season. And again, coming into this race out of the last chance qualifier, what an upset this would be if he can hang on and make no more errors, and hopefully there's not another caution with Tanton Woolridge, Ryan Messer, and then there still is potentially Craig Weigel to get a podium finish here just in behind Messer if any of those 2 cars in front of him get together, again, make errors, whatever it may be. But man, oh man, what a finish we're about to see here.
This time by, as he comes across the stripe, it's going to be 5 laps left to go for the 35 of Chris McKenna. The RKM setup shop. Number 35, Ryan Kuhn, working on the setups for this race car. Former Pro All-Star Series champion, helping Chris McKenna get to the front of the field. 6 laps to go. So just a couple laps left to go for the 35 car, and he has pulled away a gap from the rest of this field. How has this happened? 4 to go, 3 to go. Regan, any last minute thoughts on this 35 car?
Well, 2 more laps to go. As long as he can hang on and get the job done, the 5th annual Jim Hallahan 333 is all his. He'll go into the record books as the 5th winner of this race. Jesse, take us home with Chris McKenna in the lead.
White flag in the air, 1 to go on the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. It has not been Chris McKenna's day. Had to win the last chance race to even get in the field. He's been involved in a half a dozen incidents, but it will not matter. Checkered flag in the air. Chris McKenna wins the Jim Hallahan 333. Tanton Woolridge second. Ryan Messer from 3 laps down to come home third. Craig Weigel, what a run for 4th for a driver who was scheduled to start and park this race, and Riley Duncan rounding out the top 5. Oh my goodness. What a celebration this is going to be.
That's
and Kenzie Rustin style gets more damage on the burnout. I don't think he cares too much about that right now.
Makes sense.
Unbelievable.
And this entire race, we were thinking Matthew Barkhouse, Mike Alexander, Tanton Woolridge, Riley Duncan, Ryan Messer. Who thought that Chris McKenna would come out and become the next winner of the Jim Hallahan 333?
Well, let's talk to our 2nd and 3rd place runners. We'll start with our runner-up finisher, Tanton Woolridge. Tanton, your car looked absolutely bulletproof, but one mistake there right at the end. What happened?
Yeah, just didn't play the strategy right. I thought that we did, and that we kind of crossed our T's, dotted our I's, through the middle portion of the race. And yeah, I'm assuming that Chris had another set of tires there at the end. He had a lot of damage, and he was a lot quicker. So I'm sure somewhere's, and I think it was 5 pit stops. He was able to get off cycle and save an extra set of tires. So yeah, still a good day. A long 333 lap race. There's a lot that can go wrong, and was in some tough positions at some points, and was just kind of able to weasel our way through and stay up front at the end.
How tough were the conditions today? It looked like it was really a one groove racetrack unless you had the magic touch.
It was and it wasn't. It kind of moved around throughout the race. It really started on the bottom. I was trying to just kind of tiptoe down there all night long and be able to use a little bit less gas, a little bit less tire down on the bottom. So really tried to stay down there, and then there would be times where you get going on a restart and that bottom side would really fade off, and you had to kind of move yourself up. So yeah, it was tough in the fact that it kept changing, but I like to do a lot of dirt racing on here, and that's something you have to be very, very strong at, is adapting and trying to pick lanes. So that honestly kind of probably played a little bit into my favor, and it made for a really fun race.
Who gets the thanks here today on the crew of the 56 to get you here?
Yeah, big thank you to O1 Motorsports, McKinnon Bros Service Center, Chris Fournier Remax, JS Plumbing and Heating, Livingston Steel, Rainers Automotive. There's a ton more, between the Legend Car and the Pro Stock, and just Tim for putting these on. This is a big race, and I know it's for a good cause, and I'm sure it wouldn't be possible without Tyler and the Hallahan group. So yeah, I look forward to this one every year. It's a tough one with being a kind of an off cycle track of what a super would normally run on, but it's a lot of fun. So big thank you to those guys, and obviously you and Regan for calling the race, and Vidane for putting it on. It makes for fun nights, and I guess in this case a fun afternoon on a Sunday.
Well, congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing you next on the virtual racetrack and the real racetrack.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that's Tanton Woolridge, comes home second here today in a third place run, coming from 3 laps down at one point, being involved in a couple of incidents. Maybe some we'll talk about, maybe some we probably should leave in the past. But Ryan Messer, what a drive. Ryan, I've watched you for 14 years now, 15 years. You continue to surprise me with the way you can come back and rally back from whatever seems to get thrown your way.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't the smoothest race I've had. It ended up, I think it was lap 100 or so, had a connection problem, which isn't out of the ordinary for me, seems to happen quite often. Anyways, yeah, we went down about 3 laps or so I was 23rd spot, whatever it was. So I really had to stretch my first couple runs for tires. So when the leaders would all go down and pit, I would stay out so I could get the wave round and just get a couple laps back that way. So that took the over halfway. It was about 2:30 or so, I think, before I actually got onto the lead lap. So I definitely made for a long, grueling race, just trying to stay in contention. So I had an extra set of tires at the end there, but once I got up on the front row with Tanton, didn't ever think we were going to need it. And so we are having a really good race, and Chris blew our doors off for a couple laps, and then we kept on racing again for second after that. So no, it was good. Congrats to Chris. He played the strategy out right and got it done.
Well, who gets thanks today on this crew for the whole operation? I know is probably tuned in watching you, and probably the whole of Harvey is watching and seeing how you're doing. But maybe take the time to thank your sponsors and your family and friends.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure that the family's all probably on, tuned in, watching. They like to watch these things, especially the big shows. So shout out to them, VidaneTV, Tyler Hallahan, all the guys that put this race on, Tim for broadcasting it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's Ryan Messer coming from behind to end up third here today. And how about it? A driver who was, I don't even know how he ended up in this position, but stealing away the win in the final few laps of this one. Chris McKenna. Chris, from a last chance race win to make your way into the field, and talk about taking the lead there late in the going, and how did it feel to start pulling away from the rest of the field?
Yeah, I really didn't think that I was going to have much for the 2 up front, but after that last restart, she fired off real good and was able to keep some grip down low, made the pass, and then just never really looked back.
A lot of damage to the car, too. Obviously, you had a bit of an up and down day over the course of 333 laps.
Yeah, I got into it a little bit early, so I was just trying to be a little bit safe, be a little bit cautious there. Ended up with an extra set of tires at the end because most of the yellows I was just going to fix a little bit of damage, and figured as long as I had a piece at the end, and incident points were obviously used up a little bit, but just trying to save something to make sure that I could actually drive off at the end, trying not to abuse the car too much. So yeah, it was pretty sweet. Like I said, I really didn't think I was going to have much for the front row there at the end, but when she fired off, it was hammer down from there.
Well, what an unbelievable drive to win the Jim Hallahan 333, a very, very prestigious race. Obviously, your first run here this season, so congratulations on that. Who got you here today?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I guess first I'd have to thank Ryan Kuhn from RKM Setup Shop just for all the pointers over the last couple of years, helping me develop a little bit of skill out here on the sim. So Caden Tuff's designs for making a really pretty car. I guess I'm gonna need some virtual vinyl after this anyways. So Caden always makes the cars look real nice. So gotta give a big shout out to him.
Well, congratulations, Chris. You are a Jim Hallahan 333 champion.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also want to give a special shout out to Tim and Vidane for putting this on, and Tyler as well. Anyone else behind the scenes for this. I know it's not really an easy thing to take on and put forward, so all of us drivers really appreciate all the effort put in. And thanks to all the competitors who came out, put on a good show. Hopefully 333 laps is a long time, so keeping a car underneath you and to be that quick at the end, yeah, kind of speechless on it, to be honest with you. It's one of my bigger wins on the sim, so it's pretty sweet.
We'll let you celebrate this one. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Of course, that is Chris McKenna, winner of the Jim Hallahan 333, and we're going to take a moment here to, if it's okay, to talk to Tyler Hallahan. Tyler, what does this event mean to you?
Oh, it means everything, you know. It's in memory of my grandfather, and he was like pretty much my racing hero. So it's pretty good to be able to everyone to put this race on for him there, and it's great to be a part of it.
Yeah, you had a wild afternoon. You were upside down at one point. Yeah, you came back through and you finished the race. Kind of a never give up attitude. Obviously, that's what Jim was all about. He never gave up on anything that he did, and we definitely see it through what you're doing. We really appreciate you helping put this event together. Any last minute thoughts on everything that's happened here today?
Just thanks for everyone for coming out. Congrats to Chris on the big win in the top 3 and all the competitors for a good day of fun, clean, hard racing.
We really appreciate it. Looking forward to the 6th annual event. Obviously, in 2026, I'm sure the notes are already being made for next year's event. Tim Terry, I know you're here. Tim, any last minute thoughts?
Well, I think we also need Grug in here. Grug, are you going to do the presentation for the winner?
Where?
Didn't you buy the winner a cheeseburger or something?
Yeah, it's waiting for you at the DQ counter. They just got to tap your card on the machine there.
Fantastic.
No trophy, but I get a burger. That's a better win, I think.
Yeah, congratulations to Chris. Great tire strategy at the end. Kind of came off the rails a little bit, but in a big race like that, you're going to have tempers overflow and all that fun stuff. Points are updated. So Tanton Woolridge has a 12-point lead on Brandon Campbell going into our Tuesday night show at Loudon. We've got 19 drivers locked into the showcase, which will be on VidaneTV on January 14th. It's Oxford. It's 250 laps. It's going to be a fun show. Yeah, thank you guys for being a part of it. Thanks for Paul for driving overnight to get back to the homestead to put on the show, and looking forward to the next 2. And obviously, Paul, we're doing Tim's Corner Live on Wednesday nights, and I know you're busy with your schedule too, right?
Yes, sir. There are no days off, no rest for the wicked. 4 nights coming up of racing. Monday night, we've got the Fast One late models coming back after their run Thursday night. Tuesday nights, we've got some racing. Wednesday night, the Turn 4 podcast group is back, and the Thursday night NEP Super Truck Series back at it after the holiday break. And we are hitting the ground running here in the 2025 calendar year. I think we've got over 30 shows scheduled for the iRacing world, and that real racing schedule's picking up in a big way too. So really looking forward to all the things coming up in the 2025 calendar year. Be sure to check out all of the VidaneTV socials where you're hot on the presses or hot off the presses. We are on Instagram finally. Do a quick search for VidaneTV as the rest of the socials as well. Give us the likes, the shares, the follows, all that good stuff. And as always, this broadcast, along with all of the other 599 broadcasts, are available on demand over on the VidaneTV YouTube page. You can pull that up on the smart TV as well. But that's going to do it here for us this afternoon. From everybody here at VidaneTV, Tim's Corner Motorsports, another one in the books. We will catch you on the flip side, and when we do, we are going to be doing it live. Go Bills!